Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and Brian Scarborough, Fixed Air Moon, here for Spiritual Daddy. And today is July 26th of 2022. What is going on, Brian? Good to be back with you for Spiritual Daddy.
It's nice to be back. Happy birthday, dog.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Looked like a really fun weekend.
I mean, it really was a good weekend, but you know, I feel like it was like so needed. It's kind of crazy, actually.
Come on, Stream Deck. Yeah, definitely needed. Sometimes you just gotta have a birthday that you enjoy.
I agree.
I agree. You haven't had one of those in a minute, so
no, I was actually
stoked for you.
I was actually saying today, like it's been like over a decade since my birthday in 2010, where I had like friends around and we were having a great time, and it's been a long time.
It was due. Big time. Well, I'm excited to be here. I definitely was thinking about some topics to discuss on this show and excited to see where we go, especially with twin flames.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting place for us to kind of start today. You know, I feel like twin flames, of course, have been a very big kind of part of what's been talked about a lot, especially like, I don't know, in, you know, like the spiritual community at large, especially lately. I'm having troubles, of course, right now with the Stream Deck. But, you know, I feel like getting the masculine point of view is so important right now because of, I hear a lot of the feminine talking about it. And actually, believe it or not, Craig and I, back in the day, were talking about it. It was the first show that started Full Disclosure, was about twin flames.
I remember seeing that.
So it's been like over, I don't know, it's been
two
like
and a half years or so?
Yeah, like 2.5 years, something like that. I think
it's an interesting topic still to this day, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe as I get this Stream Deck kind of to work for us, what do you feel like? Do you believe in twin flames? Do you think about them? Do you talk about them ever?
Well, I really don't think about them, to be completely honest. But, you know, in the spiritual community, I definitely see the term get thrown around all the time. It's a very interesting topic. From my perspective, what I always see with the twin flame thing is it's always one person who thinks that their twin flame is this person, and usually that person that they think it is doesn't know them. It's an interesting thing. So there's a lot of like fantasy around it when I look at it, which is interesting, and it's interesting to romanticize and fantasize about this like perfect union with another person, but it becomes kind of an obsession. And is it a healthy obsession is one of the questions, you know, I kind of ask when I'm like observing this twin flame thing. I never, and I don't want to say it doesn't happen, but I've yet to see where one person is like, you're my twin flame, and then the other person's looking back at that person like, I'm your twin flame. It could be out there, but I haven't observed that one yet. So to me, it kind of goes into this like spiritual kind of delusion about a soulmate energy, and it's also I think it's borderline like codependency and like needing someone else to feel complete, like you need your twin energy out there to feel whole. And I think that's very interesting, and I don't know if I agree. I don't think it's very healthy, to be honest, either.
I mean, I actually, especially after doing Hypergate, my school, and really looking at alchemy and looking at the two understandings of like how Mercury is dualistic, and the understanding of the truth and the divine masculine and divine feminine, and the coming together is really what I had seen through John Dee's work and what I've seen through a lot of the alchemical Hermetic principles, especially every Hermetic, you know, alchemy image is always showing the masculine, the feminine, and the coming together of them is the only way to actually get to the fully understanding of the divine, but also, in my opinion, the only way to get out of this matrix, like to get to the higher dimensions.
And the Matrix even touched on that in the last
one, right?
Which I agree with that, but I don't know if that's twin flame. Because like I said when I first started talking, it was like the twin flame thing. It's like usually one person is saying, you're my twin, and there's an obsession there a little bit. where the other person seems to not have that person on their radar is what I see the most of. So is that the divine union that's going to get people out of the matrix? Is like that perspective the one? Because I do believe that that divine union is very special.
Right.
And that it is what kind of takes us to another level within ourselves, because relating to somebody is so important. Like we can't do, like we're not meant to do this alone, you know?
No, I agree with you, but I feel like you're right. Like it could be very unhealthy, especially I feel it's been kind of pushed a lot in a way that there's not a lot of like backup to it. So it's like and I understand channeling since I'm a channeler, and I totally don't ever want to take away anybody's like, you know, credibility of their channeling, right? Or downloads.
Right.
But I, as an astrologer, feel that I like to have a spiritual backdrop. So like one image, of course, would be like showing people like this alchemy picture, of course, which there's the feminine, right? This is the wheel of life, right? Like, which of course is the zodiac. But there is this dualistic nature of the upper divine and then this lower 3D matrix that, you know, the masculine and the feminine are chained together, and the feminine representing the moon, right? That luminary in the darkness, right? That holds together energy, and the energy of the moon that you see with her. And then of course the sun being the masculine and being the sun. And of course, you also see the phoenix that rises, right, through there. And then we always see the antelope, right, that we see is representing more of like the, you know, the different elements, right? Like the water and the earth, of course, with the feminine, and the fire and the air with the masculine. And that's just one. A couple in here that I have for Hypergate was also this one. Where, you know, the only way to really get to this kind of understanding of the divine per se would be, you know, understanding both sides, right? And I feel especially, where was it? Like, especially through some of the chivalry and stuff that actually does come from Avalon and the Camelot story of Lancelot and Guinevere, there is that element of this higher, trying to understand consciousness or reaching a higher place that comes from that. And I think it was in my Hypergate here that I really went deep into like using this image, right? So it was like the understanding of being kind of stuck in the matrix with the phoenix that can't fully rise until the coming together of alchemy, of the understanding of Mercury and the masculine and the feminine comes together to exit out of the kind of matrix reality.
Right. It's like the,
So I
it's
don't
the
know.
alchemization, like turning.
Yeah, and I know you took the school, so I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm totally in agreement with all that. It definitely resonates. I think that it's very important to have that union and to understand, because that is part of the alchemy, is to observe, and it is very based around Mercury, right? So it's like being able to observe that opposite polarity of anything in life, which, you know, biologically, if you will, there's polarities with male and female, women, man, whatever. So to be able to understand that enough, to connect to it enough in a deeply spiritual way, or a romantic way, or, you know, with love or passion, desire, whatever it is, that alchemy takes us to like another level of like osmosis, right? Because we pick up what someone else is like, what their energy is. That's like the Scorpio kind of 8th house to me, is like, it's so important to have that merge in life. Like, we're meant to merge souls with people, merge energy. And that's where I think some of the truest alchemy comes from, is with a man and a woman, you know, coming together and making that alchemy happen, that magic, which can be transcendental, right? Can take you to a whole nother space. And who knows, if you're picking the right partners, you could be taking on some of the best energy in the world from that person. So there's like another way too, where it's like you can kind of pick wrong partners and alchemize some interesting scenarios into your life that way too.
Yeah, and I think that there's some of the like, I guess you could say they're like the laws of twin flames, or the rule book of it, where there's the runner, the chaser, and the idea that, you know, like you said at the beginning of this, like, oh, that there's always like one person that seems to be about it and the other person doesn't. I think some of those rules are not set in stone. I don't think that there's like a set in stone of what a twin flame really is. I think if anything, it's the understanding of a mission together, a spiritual mission. Because if you really think about it, the idea of a twin flame comes from spirituality itself, right? So I feel like there's a valid point to it if it's this understanding of, okay, this is like coming from actual spirituality, and there is a divine mission, and there are, I think, only probably 144,000 souls that do feel like they're here to do a spiritual mission together. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that it's crazy. I just think that, you know, trying to find that's where we have to, I think, kind of, and I think a lot of the work that I did in Hypergate was really trying to understand that, you know, notion of this divine masculine and feminine, and if it really works or not. And I think a lot of it is about the mission. Like there's a feeling of a mission that wants to come together, opposed to the fascination with just the romantic love only, like, or even just the sexual energy, or even, you know, the awakening process maybe together. I think it's a lot more real if people are already aligned within their own selves. And I feel like, you know, the idea of a twin, to complete one, you know, person or something, or one soul, I don't know if I don't think that you could, you know, that's starting to get almost like CERN, like breaking down particles. Like, it's like more to me of just like divine union. I like that term way better.
I do too.
And I think as a divine masculine, I think, you know, you were laughing because just even when I just got back here from Vegas, right? Like, I don't even know how many people have said that I'm their twin flame, or
you have
just
the most twin flames in the world.
Supposedly, based upon the amount of people that have literally showed up at the studio, the amount of mail and gifts I get, and all that, like, technically I have like a harem of like thousands of people who think I'm their twin flame.
Right.
And so that's where, for me, I'm like, okay, as a masculine, like, okay, like, and then they get mad if I don't respond to them in a way, right? It's like,
because that's the delusion around it. They believe that you're something that you don't believe you are. So then it gets
pressure.
There's
like
pressure,
forcing.
but it gets distorted. It gets distorted in a way that's like, you have to, it's an ideal. It's like you're putting this persona on someone that they're something that they don't feel or think they are. And that's where I think that it gets really weird for people, and it gets really weird in just the whole twin flame thing. It's not that I don't believe in divine union. I think that's the best way to put it. I think divine union is 100% a thing, and it's mission aligned, and like your soul's made a contract before you came here, like, yo, we're going to meet up at this time and do this damn thing. Like, that's one thing, but I mean, does there need to be some pressure, some force to be like, you're my twin flame? I know, I saw in synchronicity, in a dream, in whatever, in a vision, numbers. I heard something, you know, somebody said to me that, like, that's when it gets like, okay, you have feelings for that person, but they don't have feelings for you, and then you want them to do something. And then I think it's just the clickbait too. Like, there's a clickbait to twin flame. Like, we titled it this. It's probably going to get clicks. Like, it's a very clickbaity thing. Ooh, twin flame. It's catchy. It's catchy. But is it actually what we're looking for when it comes to union?
I honestly feel like there's a very only few amount of people out there who actually really, really connect truly to it, as far as knowing how to, like, channel it and help people through it. And again, like, I feel like it's people who have been on the mission and understand the mission, and they're not frantic, right? So they're okay within themselves of doing the work as they talk about it, and they have the work to back it up in the spiritual work that they do. Like, there's only probably like maybe 2 people I actually even really respect in this area that I'm like, okay, they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
And like 95 to more percent that I see out there of people, I'm like, nah, like, you know, like, they're just not understanding the rising out of because really, I think the deeper part of the twin flame, you know, understanding, or I call it the divine union, is really to ascend out of to a higher frequency and to ascend to honestly, this new earth that's been talked about from Dolores Cannon, that I feel like, you know, there is a timeline that actually is more embodying of love and more embodying of a higher calling. But I feel like it's souls on a mission. But there's also that weird thing where some people say, well, that's my twin, but we're just like, no, not romantic. Like, they're married, I'm married, and they're my twin. And I mean, I'm like, okay. I mean, like, to me, that's more like a soul brother or sister.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because for me, I just keep coming back to like looking at the understandings of, you know, the alchemical process. Like, when I was doing it as well, it was one of those things that, you know, like, this is the last picture that was just found in the 2000s of Leonardo da Vinci. And it's actually himself, but it's also Jesus, and there's a masculine and a feminine. I know that it's got drawings all over it, right? But I was able to kind of show of course, the masculine here, and then of course the feminine in the sphere that's being held there, and the sign of Leo that's in there, and of course that's his signature in a weird way. They're using the constellation, but also the understanding of the earth, the glyph of the earth, the cross, but also the way that, like, there is this kind of masculine and feminine of Jesus / Leonardo da Vinci. Even the hair on the feminine side is feminine and masculine on the masculine side, and this coming together. So even Da Vinci was very into it. And it was ironic because Da Vinci actually, from a lot of studies, was actually, you know, and I think that's where it's a very interesting, you know, question too about divine masculine and feminine, because it was said that he was more of like a homosexual, that he really wasn't into women in that way. So it kind of brings an interesting, you know, part of like how people embody their masculine and their feminine. But I feel that there is a higher calling, because especially in Da Vinci's work, I would have to find that picture, which I'll pull it up here in a second. But there is the understanding of, you know, especially with Da Vinci's work, like if you see the Annunciation, which is one of my favorite portraits that he did of the moment where, you know, Mary takes on the Annunciation from Michael of accepting Christ through a virgin birth, right? Like but the accepting process, and you see the masculine's hand open, right, in a way of pointing, and that's always the masculine. You see her in receiving, which I'll pull it up for people to see. And there's a lot through history of showing this divine understanding and union, and I think that's what people are trying to get to. But I think you're right. I think that there's a lot of clowns doing it right now. A lot of clowns.
It almost becomes like just wanting this title, right? So I think we all desire love, right? Like, we all want to have love in our life, and that's something I think that we'll naturally at any point in our life find. But there's something about the title of twin flame. People just want this title. So I don't know. Is it just about a title? Is it just to say this? Is it like to have, like, maybe for some people that's just where they feel like they're in that really divine union? I mean, and I'm okay with that. I just don't look at it that way for myself, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so like this is the Annunciation picture, and so this is actually when Da Vinci was still training, and he was still working with one of his teachers still at the time. And actually, this portrait was to focus on the background, but and the way that you could see the beautiful port and the mountains and so forth. But also, it's the only Annunciation photo of the masculine Michael, and the respect that is had for Mary, and not kind of forcing this kind of you're gonna have Christ as the baby for God, right? Like this whole you see it in every Annunciation picture, like Michael coming down, like she kind of has no choice, and the woman is kind of Mary's kind of
like, do you want to receive this?
Right, and there's that whole where she's in the energy of wanting,
she's accepting.
She's in an accepting role, right? And she also has wisdom of understanding the role that she's here to play, just as much as the understanding is too of Michael coming down to, bring that gift to Mary, and is the representative of God through a physical masculine presence that's bringing that understanding to her that it's here.
Right.
And so I think that, when it comes to, let's just say romance and relationships, I feel like this is what the masculine feels like we want to do. And I had pulled up, actually, it's on my, I pulled up an Instagram from Men of Strength USA. They're a really cool Instagram, but it reminds me of this whole thing, like what boys want and what men really want, right? Like we want to build something and create something we want to protect. It's I think as boys we do go through this phase of wanting the party and wanting just kind of the craziness, right?
The Dan Bilzerian life.
Yeah, and to me it's okay, I have no judgment on however people are gonna live. But as we get older as men, especially, we don't want that in our life, right? We don't really just want to just sit around as a bachelor, playing video games and eating, or just at least me, I don't like going to bars and drinking. I don't drink. So there's kind of that, men want the adventure in life more, and I feel like there's kind of a dualistic element to that, right? There's the part of men now that are pretty weak out there, right? There's a lot of guys now who won't go on the adventure. They don't even know tools anymore. I know we've talked about that in the first episode, but I think it really goes hand in hand with the understanding of a divine masculine now has this understanding of a spiritual role just as much as the divine feminine has an understanding of their spiritual role, and the coming together. And then when you take all the crazy stuff going on about, trying to change genders in children now.
I know.
Right? That there's a deep, calling now, especially for both sexes, both divine masculine and feminine, to really step up at this moment, because to be honest, with Pluto coming into Aquarius, and I'm sure that maybe you would agree with me on this, it's kind of scary out there, because using astrology and looking at these transits that are coming, this is where the population starts to really go down. And it's not, I know there's a lot of people out there who might not want to hear that, or, I just threw up a video on YouTube from my 2022 thing, and there was somebody on there you're just doing this for political stuff. I'm no, this is spiritual stuff. It just so happens to be, there happens to be a major majority now around the world that is not agreeing with this crazy kind of not natural way. And I feel that, the twin flame thing, if we think of the Venus eclipses in Gemini over the last decade, right? That literally is a 120-year moment that will never happen again in our lives. Kind of weird that it happened in Gemini, which is the twins.
It's kind of wild that Mars is coming back this year to kind of seal the deal on all that.
Exactly. And that's from 2004's eclipse and 2012's
to 2020.
And then the 2020
eclipse,
one.
But still, that was the Mayan calendar.
Right. with the Jupiter Saturn that was in Aquarius, right? That year. And then now we're going to get the Mars in Gemini retrograde.
Yeah.
And that is, like you said, sealing the deal of all the way back to 96 would have been the last time there was just a Venus retrograde, right? That had happened without eclipses. And so 2020 was that. But now here we are kind of in this weird 2.5 years of the Saturn Pluto that still haven't separated fully from 30 degrees. And it's like, there is something about this next 5 months here.
Yeah.
That maybe there is something to this twin flame thing, but I think it's for those that, and that's why I think the 144,000 is legit, because if you start looking around, or especially as a guy, like talking to chicks and meeting girls and stuff, like there's just not a lot of people that I even understand any of this talk.
That's very true.
So it might be a very limited number of people. I don't know. Do you think that, or do you think everybody's meant to find their twin?
Oh, I don't. I mean, I think ideally I would love to say that, yeah, everybody's meant to find their twin, if that's a thing. But like that person, that divine union, I think if you're meant to, you're meant to. It's going to happen. I would say that, to me, some souls probably choose to do this mission more solo than to have maybe a divine counterpart come in. But I do think, like you said, with the Venus retrogrades and Mars and just Pluto coming into Aquarius in general, like we're all going to have to start relating in different ways. It's like a new scope here of like how we are doing relationships, in a sense that I think it's going to be more about the collective, more about the mission, more about like what we need to do to build a future together than the way relationships are now, which are very like social media based, or like look at the appearance of the relationship. It's probably going to be much more detached for service to like have whatever revolution we're about to go through and like carry the collective somewhere. So I think it's going to take special souls that like came here with mission sort of oriented mindsets. And like you're saying, like that 144,000, I can get behind that one. That like that's probably the amount of souls that are gonna, do the revolution for this planet. So finding that energy and that counterpart in that does get a little smaller, because think about the world, like 144,000. There's like 8 billion people on this planet right now. Like
close,
like right there, like who knows? You could have a twin flame, if you want to call it, that's on the other side of the world doing the mission with you, with the same divine perspective that you're doing at one part of the world, and maybe you don't even meet. Like maybe there's that level of it too.
Well, I think that's where things get a little bit kind of intense here with the timing, because I think divine union, divine timing, divine, ascension, divine everything, it is got a divine timing moment. And I think that with the way that we look at the world today, and I mean, it is scary, and I had no problem last week talking about like it's kind of scary with what's going on with the shot per se that people have got. And so you actually start to think of like a number like 144,000. And then, you start going around and you ask people, do you have the shot or not? And, more have it than don't. Mm-hmm. So, and so, to me, that 144 is like, whoa. Like that's kind of the most scariest thing was for me when I made the predictions in 2019 that there would be a cryptic clean out. I remember thinking of the 144,000. Mm-hmm. That to me, with 8 billion people on the planet, but at the same time when, there's a bunch of, like Natalie and I talked last week on Full Disclosure, which is exclusive to High Vibe, because that show we can't do on here. But like Dr. Bosch, like the famous biologist, like he's like basically, saying a bunch of things about think of all the like illegal immigrants coming into the country. Like it might be because they need people who don't have the shot to try to bring a natural immunity, because it will never happen with the shot that was given. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of scary when you start like looking at that It's made me rethink the whole thing. So when people think I'm all like alt-right, right? It's like, whoa, what if that is like the deepest secret going on to save the country because people got the shot? That the only way is either you bring in a bunch of people that don't have it or have a baby boom. But today it just dropped on Epoch Times that fertility is now at risk at the highest of all time. That there's new data that's just come out that is showing that fertility rates, of course, already that have been dropping, but that the shot might have taken a whole entire generation of fertility gone.
I know. That's super scary to think that is a possibility. And I think that was something a lot of us were like worried about going into that. But then even like the side that might be okay or still be fertile, the way that the economy is going, people don't necessarily like want to bring a child into this world too. So there's fertility rate dropping. There's like a recession happening. There's
and the
inflation
White House changed that.
happening.
Changed that.
I know they
term.
changed the definition, but nonetheless, like it's way more expensive to live. It's way more expensive to have a family. So like it's not as appealing for even people that are fertile to like bring people into this world. So it makes you wonder, is that a part of the big thing too? Like, okay, maybe divine unions, twin flames find each other, but like, let's make sure they don't procreate. And then that goes on to like what you and Dylan were talking about on Before Dawn with the rave children, the rave babies.
Right.
Is that all like a big plan too? Like, don't let these come in. Cause I believe that the dark knows what's up with all that. Like, they're not stupid, right? Like, they're like, oh,
I think they're jealous, or they
don't want to let go. They're going to milk it for everything they can get.
With cricket milk.
Yeah. Cricket milk. Yummy.
I mean, but I think that's where like this whole thing about twin flames from a masculine point of view is like, I don't think a lot of masculines that are really masculine are tripping about the world. And this might sound fucked up, but this is spiritual daddy. A real spiritual daddy didn't get the shot. Was awake enough to go, I ain't fucking with my masculine drive body that naturally works. Especially men are the ones who have been having all the heart attacks. Like just this weekend, that
athletes.
NFL star that's 35 years old went on a run and dropped dead.
I know.
Makes zero sense. Like there's no, that like every doctor in the world will tell you 2 years prior, like my GP told me that forever. Like you've been in sports your whole life. Your heart's amazing. Like you will not drop dead just running.
No.
Like it won't happen.
These are athletes in their peak,
right?
You know? And then that's what the soccer players last year. Like all those soccer players that were dropping dead and not dropping dead. Some of them did, but it was mainly cardiac arrest on the field. Like it was crazy how not publicized that was. Don't look. Like this isn't normal. So there's clearly something going on. I think majority of the people can like at this point at least be like, oh yeah, something's happening. And I think you're 100% right. No masculine energy, and this goes for, of course, women too, like to have that defining presence within yourself, to know like instinctually what is good for you and what isn't good for you. They weren't going to waver on trying that. Like it was like, no, I'm not. So yeah, and especially within men, because men have to be that leadership role. That's masculine.
Right.
Leader, like, you better lead by example. You can say and talk all you want, but are you actually doing it? Are you showing people the way? I think that's very important, and you have to do that with action to define a path.
I think that the feminine is the leader in the role of showing us how to love.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's our role to be the protectors, to be the ones that are gonna, show up and that do big responsibilities. Like we're the ones that will take the trash out, right? I know it's a stupid thing, but like, it's 2022, right? It's like we're the ones that, there's a fucking opossum outside, don't worry. There's a rat in the garage, there's a whatever, right? Like, we'll do anything for our girl. Like,
does that spider make you feel unsafe?
Right. Yeah, I got you, right?
Yeah.
Like there's that element that if the world gets crazier and crazier, which it is, we'll keep stepping up to those roles that we need to be.
100%.
But I think that the divine feminine's way is the leader of love, right? Like the leader of allowing a space too for us as masculine to feel comfortable, to feel like we can be who we are and be ourselves, because, you know, like it's getting tighter and tighter, the same way the economy is with the way that they're doing with credit systems and stuff, right? They keep pulling away, you know, the amount of money that's going to be able to be lended to the government and stuff like that. That's what the tightening is of the Fed. It's the same thing happening to men right now, where it's like, well, like, you know, like you pop off and, you know, cuss a lot, or you fucking, like we talked about some of that stuff in the last couple episodes, right? So it's like there is like this feminine, you know, energy that I think as a masculine we feel a lot more comfortable when we can be ourselves. That's not out of line with being a masculine, right? Like I like to have a cigarette and shit, or like I like to fucking work on shit, or you know what I mean? Like there's a guy element to thing that needs to come back. But I also think a lot of that is like some of the feminine have to, I think, be a little bit more, help us as men be like, feel like it's okay for us to be who we are. Cause I feel like we've spent a lot of time making sure women can be how they are.
Right.
And we almost forgot along the way of how men are allowed to be, you know?
Yeah.
And it became also like, you know, like as if all men are bad, like all men just want to suppress women, or all men want to do all this crazy shit to women, when it's like, we'll work our ass off just to have the woman to be able to get the stuff you need, the food you need, to get your nails done, or because we'll do all the craziest shit we can physically in this reality.
Literally anything we need to do,
right,
to like especially make, you know, our counterpart like comfortable. And I would say any like real masculine energy would do that. Not, of course, we live in a world now where not every masculine, you know, not every man out there is going to show up in that sort of masculine way where they will actually do whatever it takes to make sure that their, you know, divine counterpart is taken care of and supported. But I think that is, like you said, touching on that, like we need to be supported in what we're doing and what we're defining as well, without like, because that's where I think we need to evolve in relationships, is we get so attached to the relationship that we don't let it break apart, so that the masculine can go out and whatever the mission is, make it happen to support and, you know, keep things growing for the family. We have to like be not as attached, right? A little bit like, okay, we're going to separate, do our thing. I'm going to keep this going here and support you when you come back. But I understand women want to go out there and make something happen too. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. But we have to know how to like come together and what the roles are within any relationship, so that like it can be supported, and there can also be the protector, that, you know, who's taking care of the situation. I don't know if we need to assign gender roles to it necessarily, but I would say that masculine energy is going to be that protective force, where there needs to be that like support role, and then it needs to also be able to come apart so that both missions can still like take place in a so just.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to also do like if the feminine has babies, right? They get pregnant, and then they're gonna, you know, it's more than a 9-month process,
yeah,
right?
It's a couple year
and
process.
It's not like, you know, after 4, 5, 6 weeks, there's nausea, right? There's morning sickness. There's all these things that takes the feminine, their whole body is creating another life, fully enveloping the other life. Guys, I think try to take too much credit for, you know, well, I'm part of it too. It's like, okay, yeah, like we shoot off the fucking sperm, and then now it's our time to be the fucking guide and leader that's going to fucking make sure that she can be fully fucking chilled out to have the whole process of being pregnant, and has to deal with the emotional, the stuff that we don't have to deal with, right? The mental, physical, crazy attributes that as a man, we have no idea what that's like. Like guys like freak out like, oh my God, I watched the baby come out of my wife's vagina. It's like, okay. Like I know it's a magical moment, but like she fucking went through 9 months of, I'm sure books could be written on how much.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Right.
Books.
So like our job as men is to make a woman feel comfortable, right? Because you don't want to be stressed as a woman being like, okay, I gotta get back to work and I gotta get back to this, right? Because then not after you have the child, then you have to nurse the child and you have to give it your breast milk, and that takes energy. And then you have to also create the emotional bonding and the creation of that soul's entry into this dimension and make it feel comfortable. So it's a lot longer than a 9-month situation. And then it's a whole life of the child too, where, you know, the feminine, I feel like needs to have a lot more security as far as to not have to worry. And a lot of women are scared of this world right now because I think a lot of guys are not fucking showing up and a lot of guys are not spiritually awake and a lot of guys went out and just got the shot. And when you're looking at the data right now, you know, a lot of it is kind of crazy, especially with that shot about fertility now, right? But also, even if you do have it and you're pregnant, the big question is, in the children that are being born with it, is it passing on to those children is the biggest thing they're figuring out right now as we're speaking. Because if that's true, that means that they will always have that crazy gene now that literally can't fight off a nonstop, actual created, you know, true pandemic that will never go away until all of the carriers of that are gone, that the virus beats them out. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And like, and people don't want to hear it. Like they're just in like, no, that's just not the way the world works. It's like, no, when Atlantis started fucking around with genes, it came down. When Rome started fucking around with gender roles and bathhouses and all this stuff.
Enough, that was Pluto return times for them.
And that was Pluto return times for them. This monkeypox thing right now. Like maybe people need to start fucking listening a little bit more to the universe instead of listening to what they think is morally right because it's been coming out of the television box, and maybe like use the history of the last fucking 6,000 plus years of lessons or those stories that go beyond that of Atlantis or even Camelot and the fall of that I feel like that's why it's such a small amount of people that could be twin flames. Because you ask any dude on the street or any chick on the street of any age group, and I guarantee you bring up all that stuff, and 95% of them will be like, "What the? You're crazy. I don't even. You're crazy. Get the fuck out of here."
Right. Yeah, it's rare. It's slim pickings, I think, if you're really gonna look for that twin flame, like that gets that has all of that in understanding, in alignment. Because right, if it's your twin, it's gonna mirror you theoretically. So it's rare. It could be out there. I do think I don't know, I kind of lost where I was gonna go with that.
Hey, but you know what? I think it's okay to get lost in what we're all trying to understand. Like, we don't know it all fully, right? Like, even like with what's happening with the gene fucking shit right now. Like, you know, like there was a really interesting story that on the Hill they had brought up, and it was actually really good. It was about let me see if I can find it. Man, there's so many new things that are coming out that it's really weird that people are not like kind of paying attention to it, if that makes sense. Oh yeah.
It's almost too much to keep up with these days.
I mean, exactly. And I think they're doing that intentionally.
Yeah.
Or like even like Biden right now, right? Like, you know, like, I mean, that was like the narrative falling apart fully, right? Like the leader of the free world for a year and a half screaming at people who didn't get the shot, right? And creating a country and also having other countries follow us in creating a society of judgment. If you don't have it, you are dirty and a bad person. I mean, that's what Hitler did.
It was straight up about division.
Right?
Like he was preaching unity, came in office being Mr. Unity. And then when he came out and literally tried to divide families with that statement, and I mean, come on, that's some dark energy. So that was, I mean, I think a lot of us already saw that side of him anyways, but a lot of people didn't. But I think that did kind of wake some people up too, that didn't want to look at people in a way that they were dirty for not getting something that they didn't feel aligned to get. Very interesting. His demeanor today was very interesting too.
I mean, and that's kind of an interesting masculine conversation, right? Like, Trump came back to Washington for his first time today, or over the weekend, to speak, or it was today, to speak about like basically the Republican Party and where is it going to go and what's coming up for the elections and so forth, right? And so Biden, who has COVID, who's at his like house, which they're making look like the White House, which is really insane already.
Well, they just make everywhere look like the White House.
They make
nowadays.
everywhere, yeah. But he's in his own little basement, and they must have shot him up with some sort of like amphetamine or something, right? Because like,
I don't know. It didn't even look or sound
it
like
didn't
the
even
Biden
look like
pre-COVID.
It didn't, but like it was weird because you have Trump, who does a great speech about situations that are going on. The crime rate's the highest it's ever been in the last year and a half.
LA's telling people like, don't leave your home.
Right.
Like, stay inside.
Right. So you have the crime that he brought up a lot. You have, you know, this crazy, you know, talk about the gender stuff and all that, divine masculine, feminine, like, you know, like being like kind of like thrown into, you know, like, especially even like the guns, right? It's like, you know, people want to stop 18-year-olds from having guns, but they are the people that want to like cut off a guy's dick at third grade.
Yeah, it's insanity.
Right? So you have that talk going on, and Biden couldn't hold himself together, or whoever his handlers are, and has to attack Trump for he didn't do anything from the insurrection, which I think is crazy because the Pentagon just released last week the memo that Trump, before January 6th, told the Pentagon, make sure that it's a safe rally. And that's where this January 6th commission isn't going, is that Nancy Pelosi got the memo from the Pentagon.
I know. Got
the warnings from the National Guard of D.C., and the mayor of D.C. and Pelosi both didn't do anything and said no. Because she's in control of the Capitol. So you have Biden then coming out of his COVID, his voice is all raspy.
Didn't blink once.
And didn't blink once. And his eyes were just like crazy, and just tries to put down and call him that he did not do any action. I thought that's all they're trying to say is he did something. Now they're saying he didn't do anything, and that's the action that he did. He didn't do anything. It's like, no, he set it all up, and we don't, you know, that's the thing, is we're not able to see what was actually happening from Pelosi's side. She's in control of the Capitol. She's the one in control of the Capitol Police, right? And they're trying to like pump Pence up in a weird way, like as if he's a hero, you know what I mean? And which he's definitely
kind of is a hero to the left. He like ditched Trump.
Right.
Like last minute was like, no, I'm siding with the other side.
And I think that people go, well, I hate talking about politics, but it's like, no, we're at a place now where it's like there's a majority of people who are in alignment with God, spirituality, and the natural way of the divine life, and people that are aligning on the right align with that. But then the right's not perfect because, like, I don't believe
you can swing too far to either side,
right? Like both sides have their issues, right? So it's like the whole abortion thing. I'm a pro-choice person because I'm reading in the chat. There's fucking 500 some people on here. I'm pro-choice, so I'm not somebody who's like, you know,
same.
Like you can't. I don't believe in cutting off abortion rights for people.
I mean, I'm actually fucking
right.
Like the definition of liberal. Like I am so liberal. Like,
correct. I mean, correct.
I want people to be free and express themselves and make their own choices. I'm not for control.
No.
But when you look at the political spectrum, it's so ridiculous because it's actually the right that's like, make your own choices for the most part. But there's the extremes of like, don't get an abortion. But that's where religion's coming into the right in a weird way. Where like the church, which that's a whole nother subject, right?
That's the problem of the right. Is
the
especially as a spiritual guy, right? Like it's religions that have taken spirituality and ruined it,
right?
So it's like it's and I even put up a video of me saying that the hardest heroin in the world is to get off the religious thing,
straight up.
But then you have now the religion of science and Pope Fauci on the left. Then they've created their own religion. So it's two false religions battling each other right now. It's a religious war. It's a science religious war, and then this Christian, Judeo-Christian war that they're so both addicted heroin-like to their belief systems that are filtering through the political elements of things. That's why I've always been like a libertarian, a Ron Paul guy, like, you know, because
I'm more of a libertarian too.
Because of the fact that like even Ron Paul is like separated from like, you know, like, hey, like, no, it should be freedom. And, you know, we don't need all this stuff, but we also, you can't like you can't be making political decisions off your religious beliefs.
Right.
Right. And I think that that's where the understanding of the masculine right now, you know, like, I think politics play into it in a weird way of what's masculine and what's not, because the left doesn't even want to say what a woman is anymore or a man. They won't even define it anymore. And if we're here as spiritual people talking about love and we're talking about masculine, feminine, astrology, alchemy, tarot, there's masculine tarot cards, there's feminine tarot cards. So this whole community has to really look at like, okay, the side that doesn't want to acknowledge the most core principles of all alchemy and magic,
there's just
and
universal
God
truths
energy of we're in the spiritual realm. If you're gonna side with that side, then you're playing with false magic. Like it will never work.
Yeah, it's magic with a C, not a K.
Correct.
I'm 100% in agreement with that. You just have to have like a basic within your own wisdom right now of like what the universal truth is. Now we can all have a different subjective truth, yes, but like there's some like big truths out there. One of them is duality, masculine, feminine. These are polarities that it doesn't matter what political spectrum you're on, they exist because they're opposites of each other. So there's an opposite to everything. So, you know, we just have to accept some things as it is. I know some people get triggered by that, but it's silly to let something about what somebody else thinks is a man or a woman trigger you. Like, just be if you want to be what you are, be what you are. I don't think anybody's also telling you not to.
Well, I think, you know, since this show is about the divine masculine having something to say, it's kind of crazy to say this, but the left in all the world politics, so we're talking from whether it's France, Australia, America, Canada especially, right? The left now does not have a space for men or very masculine energy. Masculine energy drives trucks, so it's like, oh God, you're bad for the environment.
Going against the climate
you
change
eat
narrative.
meat, right? Like the climate, whether it's a climate change thing or, that we are repressing women, that we're, misogynists, that we are narcissists, that we are, because of guns, right? That we are dangerous because of, right?
Men are supposed to be dangerous.
Yeah, and understand when to use that in an actual situation that's necessary.
It's being dangerous, but knowing how to control it.
Correct. So I feel like it's like we don't have a place on the left.
No.
There's no place for a real masculine man on the left. There is no such thing as a masculine man on the left. The most masculine man on the left is Bill Maher, and I love him, but he's not very masculine.
No, I wouldn't look at Bill Maher and say he's super masculine, but he does have a masculine presence.
Correct.
In the sense that at least he's defined in like, you know what, he might have some different views and he might, hate Trump and whatever, hate Trump. But I mean, at least he like calls it as he sees it, at least he defines his own path and kind of makes his own rules. And that's why some of the left don't like him, right? Like he's not like the left's favorite person because he is masculine in the sense that he's picked his path and he's at least making his own decisions, which I would say the left doesn't want people to make their own decisions. They want you to listen to whatever they're telling you to do. There's a control element on the left that's very strange to see because that's not what the left was supposed to be about, being liberal and democratic. It was about really like having a say, everybody choosing for themselves, being open. It was much more free. It's flipped. And that's where I was going a little bit ago too, is like the right is more freeing right now than the left, which is, interesting because they call the right conservative and you'd think they'd be more, this is the way it is, but they still want you to have your constitutional rights and they still want you to choose a life that you want to live instead of just do exactly what you're told from the television, which is the biggest spell ever right now is the propaganda coming through that. So it goes both ways too. There's propaganda on the right too. You just got to know, you got to be able to discern right now. And I think that takes a level of masculine energy within itself, is to be able to discern for yourself what is your truth and what is propaganda. What are you doing? How are you going to do it? Make your own rules a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem though, is like, masculine men, we're trying to find places to go, and then I can understand how people on the left though go, oh, but then that's creating like militias and extreme, kind of alt-right like Nazism or something like that, right? I can understand their like concern, but when it's like just trying to have an American flag anymore without people being triggered, or to be able to drive a truck and barbecue and have a cigarette and, be men again is like impossible now on the left, right? And like
they don't want you to have like willpower,
triggered, right? Or they don't want you to even speak about stuff. Like once you start speaking up,
Cancel.
like it's cancel. And especially men right now, that I think for ladies out there and for this twin flame and divine union element, like you got to look at your guy and see like, does he have the balls to stand up on the side of history that needs to be stood up on right now? It's not so much about left or right. It's so much more just about calling out bullshit wherever it may lie. Spiritually, because this mission is a weird mission that we can get, you've got to hold your divine truth, and it might align more with one side politically at sometimes, and then sometimes the pendulum swings. But especially if you do the history of these times with Neptune and Pisces and Jupiter that's here now, and what happened the last time with it in Pisces, it was the Democrats who, enjoyed slavery so much that they were finding vindication for it.
Yeah, and cheating to
keep it around and doing election fraud that they literally did, and creating,
a war.
And so and now with Ukraine and all that stuff. Or like right here, I finally found the story that The Hill just brought out. Oh, it's not showing it. That kind of sucks. No, hold on one second. I'm gonna be able to show it like this. So It's on the Hill. It was 5 days ago from Kim Iverson. Does the MNRA change your DNA? So the AP and Reuters did a fact check, and their fact check is really weird because they're not saying that it doesn't change it, that it's inconclusive, because what happened in Sweden is when they did put in vitro into liver cells, it does change the DNA. Now they have to go to actual human DNA cells that are alive human, and that people who got the shot, and actually prove that it did change the DNA. And what they're saying is, this is the first time the media, instead of saying it's false, is saying it's inconclusive, but the deeper you go, it's inconclusive because it is conclusive that it does change your DNA in cells in a lab. But we have to now do it to humans, and that's what they're doing right now. And the scary part is that nobody wants to talk about this, and the media is lost to be found about the shot at the moment because all this is coming out and they're not reporting on it.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much pushing from the media.
No, because they know it's about to get so bad. Yeah. How are they going to tell 78% of Americans, I got one shot at least. How are they going to tell them that they just fucked up their DNA for the rest of their life? How are they going to tell them that most of them at a certain spot are going to become infertile? How are they going to tell them that when this monkeypox thing goes to, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of people that all had the shot, how are they going to tell them that's because of that? How are they going to have the guts to stand up and do what's right and find a way to fix this science experiment?
I mean, they had the guts to tell people to go get it.
I mean, yeah. So I it's like, that's where I think we're at a crazy moment here with twin flames and with the timing of what's happening, that masculine has to ask itself inside if it's awake, because I think that a lot of feminine energy is awake.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like way more, right? Like, I mean, like just even data wise, right? It's like, it's fucking crazy because I could just like show my analytical data of over a lifetime of the audience, right? So if I
would even say that women are, I would say, naturally more intuitive than men, just by default with that receptivity within the feminine energy.
Right.
So I think that it's easier. I would say it's probably easier, and you could probably see it on your stats here. Like, I bet there's way more awake women than men spiritually.
Right. I mean, why is my mouse stuck over there and not letting me anyway? So yeah, if you see that, this is my lifetime since December 7th, 2011. I have 30 million views on my YouTube, and 82% have been women.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, there is not a lot of awake masculine out there. There's just not. I mean, the data shows, right? It's like age group wise, and I'll do lifetime, right? So it's a little bit older, right? So it's like 25 to 34 years old is 24%. And the number one is 29.3% at the 35 to 44 years old. Women that are the most awake, right? That 18 to 24 is very small.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. And I think there's something too about masculine energy that gets trapped in the matrix hard. Like harder than women in a sense too, because they do feel that natural, maybe instinctual need to provide, to where they have to kind of stay in some society role that doesn't give them an outlet creatively or spiritually. Or maybe that's even frowned upon in certain situations with masculinity, that they're not going there because maybe what will their coworker or their bro say? Oh, you're talking about what? You know, I got that from a few people when I woke up spiritually. It was like, astrology? Isn't that for chicks? You know? Like, you know, there's like this, I think men can get kind of sucked into stereotypes of like being masculine so much that they lose track of that feminine energy within them to receive that intuition and that flow that I think women are naturally more gifted with. Just being like more based around like the moon, right? Like the moon is plays a huge role in women, from cycles to intuition, I think. So,
right.
You know, I just think that it makes sense that there's more awake women, which are good because they can support the masculine in finding that side of themselves, and then the masculine can do something with it.
Yeah, but I feel like after 10,000 readings over the last decade plus, it's most women, they do that. Or I'm just reading comments on here. Like, I used to watch with my dude and then he dropped out. Right? Like, yeah. I feel like women have been taking on this role of trying to help wake up the masculine for so long, and then they just don't do it. They bail out.
Well, you can't wake anybody up if they don't want to wake up.
They're frustrated.
Right? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, you're not going to wake someone up if they're not ready to wake up. So even if you want to wake up the masculine energy in your life and show them astrology and show them, you know, tarot or however you want to connect, it doesn't mean that anybody, male or female, is going to bite, right? Like,
right,
the soul has to be ready to take that red pill, if you will.
I agree, but I think as a masculine, because if you even look at those numbers, and if you're an awake masculine, you have zero excuses for going out with a chick that's not awake. Zero.
Yeah,
because
right.
Women have a very small amount of masculine that's out there, and they're trying to wake up a bunch of guys, and then they actually take on the shadow of that guy waking up. Yeah. And have to deal with all that, and it creates trauma, and they take on the masculine's trauma,
right?
And they take on all that shit, and even us masculine who are awake have trauma. But you know, the true divine masculine is going to own, like, hey, I've got some trauma, or I've got shadow shit. You know, like, I'm sorry I reacted that way, and I'm, you know, but it's like, it's all about being awake and aware. Mm-hmm. But I think that the masculine has zero excuse to try and go out with some chick and hopefully wake her up, because 82% of them are pretty awake, right? Like, and I'm pretty aware of all this stuff, that there's zero excuse for a true spiritual daddy out there to be fucking around with some chick who's like, oh, astrology, tarot, fucking 2012, you know, like, if the chick is all shot up to hell and watching fucking Fauci and listening to her parents of what to do in life, I am like, bye-bye.
That's probably the biggest red flag.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Because that goes back to even the first episode we did, like that difference of values. And I think that's especially spiritually. It is what it is. You want to find people, especially masculine energy, you want to find a nurturing, supportive, feminine energy that is on the level with you, which would come back to twin flames. Like, if there's that alignment and you feel like there's that strong sort of boom, this is the connection, this is the alignment, we're on the same page, you know, there's something there for sure. But if not, no, run. Not good. It's going to pull that masculine energy away from its mission.
Yeah, and I think that right now we're at a time where the frequency is at a place to where, you know, we might have had maybe feelings that some person maybe was our twin or something, but you can't wait. There's no more time.
No, we're out of time.
We're out of time. Pluto at the end of Capricorn's the end. It's literally
time's blowing up.
Time's blowing up. And when you have that element, you have the Mars retrograde in Gemini coming to seal the deal of fucking decades of the Venus eclipse cycle and those retrograde, eclipse cycle energies. And that's in tarot, the Lover's card is Gemini.
Straight up. That's the crazy part, is how much those Venus retrogrades were connected to love.
To love.
Which you almost wouldn't think about it, right? Like Gemini, oh.
Well, yeah, and especially, and I'm sure you watched that. I did a lot of work on, like, I was the astrologer who never let off those transits.
You're the only astrologer I've ever heard talk about the Venus eclipse. I really haven't found.
Yeah, there was only there was some of us back then You know, I know Michael Luton did a little, and I know, you know, I think that UAC 2012 there were some of the young astrologers then that were. I think Chris Brennan did it at a couple points too, and Austin Kopek, and there was definitely some of us out there talking about it, but like I was doing a huge thing about it in 2020 and bringing it up and showing people the transits and showing them the actual like eclipse lines to the sun and how important it was in 2020 to realize that, you know, how intense these next couple years were about love and how intense it is about this moment here. What I wasn't able to see was that we would, well, I it was more of, now I'm putting the pieces together of different predictions, like, right? Like knowing there would be a cryptic clean out, knowing that there would be a split in the collective, knowing that there would be a fake, you know, fear to eradicate. And if you don't do this, that you are a bad person, and that people needed to stand up against this, and preparing people for a fake or a plague, as I said, and all this stuff. It's like, but that what I didn't realize was with what's about to come here with Pluto coming direct here this fall at the end of Capricorn to go into Aquarius, with Mars retrograding in Gemini, is that the only way for this seeding of this last couple decades of this massive portal that's opened up for love and the true lovers card and the true divine union is people who live in their truth and were smart enough, Gemini, to understand the divine and the heavenly bodies, literally, of where Gemini Taurus is, where the North Node is now, is in the heavens, right? It literally is the heavens. And the only way to align in this divine union presence is people who live in that truth, who went through the lies and didn't fall for it, and went through all these huge processes that you have to pat yourself on the back if you've made it this far.
Right. It was the biggest test of, are you going to follow your truth and not the truth that was told to you?
Correct.
And that was the alchemy.
And that's what's coming together in this last 5 months, 4.5 months of 2022, is with Jupiter and Neptune coming back into Pisces together. Like the dream and the portal and the doorway to walk into the heavens of divine union is fucking here. So if you're so stuck on somebody and it's not working, you have to let it go, because they didn't make it on the boat.
Yeah, I think that Mars retrograde period is going to be where people are going to realize that relationship wasn't the divine union you thought it was.
Correct.
Or the divine union you were actually meant to get because you did alchemize your life and step in your truth is now going to come in, because the karma before it and the, you know, beliefs before it got cut by a new truth that was, you know, very divinely orchestrated for many people. I think it's going to be special for relationships. Just having Pluto come into Aquarius, which it's going to be really close by the time before Mars leaves Gemini, right? It'll be probably 29.
It's like right
28,
there.
yeah.
I mean,
so we're close to that, but damn.
I mean,
Some
here,
big
like,
shifts.
let's like show people, like, why not, right? Like, fucking, this is what we do. Fucking Brian and I do astrology for a living, fucking, you know. It's kind of interesting. Like, let's go to the Mars retrograde, which will, like, that's on Halloween, which is so crazy this year.
I know, right after a solar eclipse with Venus, which we talked about the other day, which is so crazy.
I know, and I was able to tell you exactly.
I know, that was wild.
October 23rd, 2014, waking up that morning and knowing, oh, the moon is in Libra with the Venus in Libra, and then watching the sun go into just Scorpio, then Venus conjunct the sun, and the moon then conjuncting Venus and the sun into an eclipse.
I'm so glad you showed me that. That was some of the craziest, like, geometry I've ever seen.
I know, and I remember looking out my window in Hollywood and fucking tripping the fuck out. Like, this is gnarly.
It is gnarly.
And if you think of all the shit that's coming out about, you know, the elites and their crazy shit they were doing with children and fucking all the fucking.
It's really.
It was all during that Saturn Scorpio, those eclipses in Scorpio, and that Venus eclipse with Scorpio Sun, like that literally fucking was when they were doing the dirtiest shit.
I know, and this is where all that comes to the light.
And especially in Hollywood too. And I was living in Hollywood, and I remember freaking the fuck out, thinking, well, it's squaring my sun, so maybe it's just that odd feeling. But now that the truth has been bubbling up for years about all the elites and the dark shit they've been doing in Hollywood and the dark Hollywood shit and like a lot of shit, I didn't realize all around me was just fucking demons fucking everywhere doing dark shit. And I remember feeling like I was a failure because, like, you know, like I felt like I was doing TV shows, but it was just astrology, and I was wanting to do much more, and I was wanting to get astrology out there more, and it was like I wasn't gonna sign and do the bullshit that they wanted fucking people in Hollywood to do.
Which I think was so necessary.
Right.
Because that's the light stepping up in the dark, you know. You had to go into almost like the darkest place at the time.
Yeah, that's
be the
true.
light. Like that's some fucking hard shit right there.
So yeah, so here we are, like there's that Mars retrograding at 25 degrees of Gemini on Halloween, and when we go ahead, let's just go by months.
Yeah, and I think that eclipse was 6 days before it.
Right.
25th.
So Mars, as we come into January 2023, is direct. But there's that Pluto at 29 and Mars at 19.
Oh my God, do they ingress? No, they're not. Mars is going to beat it. Barely. Oh, no.
No.
It's going to be 0.
Yep.
Damn.
So the day Pluto enters Aquarius on March 23rd, 2023, Saturn is also coming into Pisces, right? So like that's what's going to be interesting is if you look at that, right? Like so Saturn comes into Pisces March 7th.
Yeah.
The ingress there. Mars at 22, which it's not out of shadow yet either.
No.
So it's still in shadow. And then Pluto is starting to square the nodes too.
Yeah, that's going to be a big... At 29.
Right? Look at that. Moon is going to be... That's the last time the moon and Pluto will... I mean, Pluto's going to come back into Capricorn, but that's the last, like... That's the... You're packing... Get used to this new place. It's kind of like a move.
That's the paradigm shift.
That's the paradigm shift right there. Boom. Like that day, the 17th, Saturn's in Pisces, Mars is exiting shadow, right?
Exit shadow
as the moon comes into Capricorn and knowing, I'm about to spend my time with Pluto in Aquarius the next time I come around. You know what I mean? Like I haven't done that for fucking 240 fucking years at least. You know what I mean? Like I haven't done that since... You know, I guess if you use the end of the Pluto and Aquarius transit, right, of the 1780s, but actually like early 90s.
Wow.
But yeah, and then Pluto ingress into Aquarius, right, March 23rd, and Mars at 29 of
that's
Gemini.
Some crazy energy.
And what's even crazier is Neptune's at 25. And that Mars is coming out of shadow at 25.
Squaring it again.
Time.
After pretty much stationing square it. Yeah, people are going to feel loony.
And look at that. The Moon, Juno, and Venus are all going to be with the North Node, with Uranus. So that Pluto and Aquarius literally is the coming into the divine orchestration of relationships.
Yeah.
And especially with an exalted moon on the North Node, with Venus at its home in domicile with Juno conjunct and Uranus together, with Neptune in Pisces now direct at 25, right? Where it did go retrograde was 25, right? Mm-hmm. So Neptune's coming out of its shadow.
Wow.
That's the ultimate doorway opening up, right? In opposition to that South Node Scorpio, which is going to be kind of like with Pluto squaring it, like sorry, like Pluto's the only one that's like, sorry, like you either did it or you didn't. Like there's no forgiveness with Pluto, right?
That's even Jupiter coming to almost the place that it met with Pluto for that first square of that cycle.
Correct.
Like that point, I mean, that was the biggest belief check
Well, yeah, the Pluto-Uranus squares were happening at those degrees too, where Chiron
Right.
and Jupiter. And that's going to be Jupiter-Chiron now done. Jupiter past Chiron. So that's going to be a huge...
That's crazy because that's the first big planet that's squaring that energy since it happened.
Right.
With this new paradigm shift of what we're going to feel like with Pluto in Aquarius, of how we're revolutionizing life as a collective, and how we're going to have to figure out new ways to relate to every single person.
Yeah, and I think that it's also interesting seeing that now that Pluto enters into Aquarius and Ingress, it reactivates the Pluto-Uranus square in fixed signs now.
Right.
And then Saturn and Uranus, right,
They're
are
finally done.
They're almost done, right? Like,
Where's Saturn?
it's at Pisces at 1 degree, yeah. But if you, yeah, I would say that, like, yeah, like you're correct. I think that's why there is no more time, right? Like, I mean, before you know it, we're going to be in March.
Oh, I mean, think about how fast days go by now.
I know.
Like, it's crazy. You're going to blink and your Pluto's going to ingress into Aquarius, and, you know, we're living in a completely different...
And that will be a completely different paradigm world, and it will literally be about the people that you have in your life.
Yeah, literally, there's so much people aspect there, but then there's also a lot of that Taurus energy, and that North Node's still in Taurus, and the Aries energy that if you're not solid and powerful within yourself, you're never going to be able to connect to the right tribe energy.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be the harsh reality, though, of Pluto squaring the nodes.
Which happens in Capricorn. It's at 29, right? When the nodes shift, that's when we get that square.
But I mean, just having Pluto and Aquarius and the nodes,
I know,
right? And there's going to be an eclipse season that following month.
I mean, it's in orb. It's close enough.
Right? Like that next month is going to be the eclipses. And so those eclipses are going to be activated with Pluto squaring them, right? And look at, there's Venus going to be in Gemini
and it's
after Mars retrograde, after...
It's another solar eclipse that's not in Taurus. Taurus
right,
does
exactly.
not get
I know. Taurus, that's why it was so rare that 2022 and 1986 are the only 2 years to get these eclipses in Taurus.
That blows my mind. That's how stubborn we are with this sort of collective value system.
Right, but that's what makes 2022 the most odd year of all time. But also the year that could actually be the year of the opening of the portal to get you to this place of where you are going to be in the new world.
Straight up.
You know,
with the right people. I mean, you have to find the right people in your life right now, from relationships to...
Yeah, especially...
There's no more time left. If you're doing life that isn't in alignment with your soul.
Right. Especially with the fact that, you know, like, if you look at this astrology, Saturn... in April of 2023 when the eclipse season, because look at that, yeah, you're right, that solar eclipse,
it's gonna be at 29
right, it's gonna be at 29 Aries like it was fucking in 2004 or
right.
three into four.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and that's extreme, but it's Saturn aligned with the nodes now in a positive, but Pluto squaring the nodes. We went through Saturn square the nodes here.
Yeah,
and we're still in that, but that's what's crazy is the harshness and that now Pluto and Saturn are 30 degrees in separation.
Which, if you think about that too, I mean, Pluto ingressing with a square to the nodes and how fated it is that we reinvent the collective. It's kind of like a rebirthing of our souls here. That's some deep shit regarding reinventing society, because it wasn't working. Pluto destroyed society as we knew it.
It's a new timeline for humanity that's an option with Jupiter in Aries of the individual aligned with another individual that choose to go into that new world or stay locked in the old world.
Right. You're either freeing yourself or not.
Yeah.
Because Aries and Aquarius, the thing that they love about each other so much is they both want freedom to be an individual.
Correct. And I think that, you know, with Venus and Gemini during that eclipse, without Mars retrograde, that's done for a long time.
But where it eclipsed, or right there, but then also just where it was retrograding in 2012 and 2020.
And to see that, you know, that when Venus actually enters in and ingresses into Gemini, it's trining Pluto for the first time in our lives in Aquarius.
Damn.
Right? And the moon is in Capricorn, like, what the fuck?
Where
the fuck's Pluto? Like, right? Like, yeah, and I'm opposing Mars. And
What the fuck?
Yeah, and there's that Mars element too that's at its fall position, and the moon in detriment. So it's like gonna be like either people feeling like, okay, I feel good, I feel together, I feel like I'm on my mission because I'm with a divine union of mission, or geez, I just didn't believe in a mission. I didn't believe in anything. And what the fuck is this world? Where am I going to find myself? Where am I going to go with Jupiter and the sun conjunct and Aries, right? Like, where in the fuck is this story going?
That's intense. And just Mars in Cancer at that time kind of is a fucking hard spot just for the collective.
Oh, it's very hard. Like, I mean, and
Pluto's like, hey, you better detach and not be emotional and figure life out right now with the right people. And Mars is like, but I'm not safe.
Right.
I'm not secure.
So it's kind of interesting if you bring it to today and where we're at. It's really interesting to see now it's this, not Venus, but Mars with Uranus in the North Node. And of course it's Saturn still in Aquarius retrograde and Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. But that the time is already in retrograde with these planets that we're looking at like Saturn and Pluto. But I think that in Neptune, right, at 25, right? But the fact that Mars doesn't have much more time left.
No.
You know.
Not at all.
Like,
I mean, damn. What is it?
And especially with the approach to Uranus, and that's what, you know.
That's what, this weekend?
Coyote Star and I are going to be talking about a lot is how important that transit is in every aspect.
Yeah.
How, you know, this is like part 2 of 2022 coming
Straight
in.
up. Mars
and I don't think people realize that divine union is what it is with North Node Uranus too, right? That's another relationship transit if you really think about it. Saturn in Aquarius is definitely one, and Pluto in Capricorn is did you find your mission?
Yeah.
And I know that there's some people like, well, I haven't found anybody yet. I'm fucked or something. And I think that you probably freak out.
Will. Like, here's the thing is like Uranus will bring people into your life. Like, who the fuck are you?
Out of nowhere, yeah.
And Mars is hitting at the same time that they are. I mean, it's instant activation. It's not even waiting for it. It's not even like, oh, this transit happened. It's just instant cutting into a different.
And I think it's about you have to be willing to be open and not stubborn.
Yeah. That's going to be the thing.
Especially it's Leo season right now with a new moon in Leo.
I know. We got
and
all
it's
these
trying Jupiter right before
that.
retrograde. So it's like this is the portal of love that's opening. And what are you putting in front of that? Are you fucking around, or you know what I mean? Are you not paying attention?
Or are you delusional?
Or delusional and still trying to hold on to somebody that obviously it's not it. So or they you know, like you have to, like, we can't look at the other. We have to look at ourselves.
No, it's time to get serious exactly about who you are and what you're doing. Because if you're not serious about that right now, you're not going to get the reflection you're looking for. I mean, it might show up. You never know with Uranus.
No, you never do know.
Anything can happen, but you better have your own sort of independent tracks laid if you're going to get somebody else to hop on that track with you.
Yeah, because I mean, go into that. Like, what do you think that track looks like for somebody right now?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it can look so many different ways. I couldn't even like begin to think like what it needs to look like for everybody, because it's too unpredictable with Uranus to say, oh, this is what it's going to look like for everybody. But I think it's your most unique path to what your value systems are, who you believe you are, and these literally physical tracks that you're laying down that you might not even know if you have the next piece to lay down until it just shows up. But at least you have a direction right now, and at least you feel solid and secure. And I think that that's a big part of it too with this Taurus energy is like, you just have to feel solid in yourself and things are going to show up for you. I think we can want to have everything completely figured out, but we're not going to, it hits when it hits. You're going to get the insight. It's going to hit when it hits. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but it's the ability to adapt through unforeseen changes with Uranus. So you just have to be open things are going to change. Don't be too stubborn.
Right.
Don't be too, okay, my train tracks are going right here, because you might get a certain way and realize, oh, I don't have the dynamite to blow that mountain up. I'm going to have to build my tracks to go around the mountain. So it's just, you need to be very adaptable. And I think that's another thing, this Mars retrograde, like people are going to have to be mutable and adaptable, or it's going to be very frustrating mentally.
Well, yeah, and I think if people try to over-plan, Uranus,
good luck.
Uranus is not a planner.
No. So
and Taurus, it's
that's a hard one.
It's a hard one.
I don't know exactly what to tell people, except like when change shows up in your life, you just have to be able to take the insight of the change and adapt and use what you have and the people in your life to make it work. Don't trip about the future. Be here, be present in your life, and the future will lay itself out as it needs to be. You know, Uranus it's going to do something magical, though. I feel like it's going to take us higher, because that's what Uranus always does.
But it but
it'll beat you into submission.
It will, and it will force you to take a route that you're not ready to take.
Yeah, and it'll force you to liberate yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a big liberation right now of who you are.
It is.
And that's going to be very important for people to realize whatever's binding you to an outdated belief, to an outdated version of reality, you better liberate yourself, or it's going to get taken away anyways, because Pluto in Aquarius is going to demolish that structure that you thought was so, long term anyways. So
why even go through so much of the bullshit to stall when you have a new moon in Leo, trine Jupiter, and then
literally
Jupiter
the most
retrogrades?
creative time of the year.
I know. Like this is the most potent time of the rest of the year, because the rest of the year with Mars retrograde, and square Neptune, and with Saturn retrograding back and stopping, and Pluto stopping, and then both in that long part of the beginning of the fall where they just don't move, and then they come direct and take a while to move. It's one of those moments where it's like, with Mars retrograde, it's going to be, I think, the hardest moment we've ever felt in our lives.
Right, because Mars square Neptune to me feels like fucking almost like quicksand, but in a cloud. Like there's no, it takes all your definition away. It's like people are not going to want to move. It reminds me of like paralysis.
Yeah.
Also, so it's like, if you don't have the courage now to do something radical for yourself, and you're going to wait till these crazy eclipses and this Mars retrograde square Neptune, are you really going to put yourself through that sort of nightmare of paralysis? It reminds me of the Nine of Swords. That just flashed and
it reminds me of the Eight of Swords, the Nine of Swords, the Ten of Swords, all in a row, with the Tower card and the Death card.
The spread of all spreads. Right?
And I think a lot of it is the paralysis, because when Saturn comes direct and Pluto comes direct, that's right when Mars goes, bye-bye, I'm turning off, I'm going retrograde. So it's like that Saturn-Pluto always wants us to be like, oh, my plans and the changes I'm going to make. Mars is like, no, you're not.
Yeah, sorry.
I
can't see anything. How are you going to make some plans?
And especially, square Neptune, I am fucking completely lost.
I am so confused.
And
you were you were laying train tracks?
Right.
What?
What are you doing? And with Jupiter retrograding back into Pisces.
Yeah.
And the great train wreck of 1856, right? This is where great train wrecks are going to happen of people's lives, of actual trains, already with the shortage of pilots, and they're trying to bring back old retirees now. That's what they're trying to do in the government. So it's like, get the guy who think he's Maverick to come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Hire Tom Cruise.
Who's all shot up and they're all dying. You know what I mean? In air, more planes. Every week there's a plane of a passenger landing the plane.
Yeah.
That's becoming a weekly thing. And people are still thinking that's not because of the shot. It's yes, it is. What has been the only thing that's changed in our world?
Climate change.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're trying to say that, if you take a nap, that causes heart attacks, right?
Oh.
It's because so many people are dying in their sleep, right? Or gardening the soil will make you have a heart attack. Because there's old ladies and old guys out there and people, and they're gardening because they're going through stress. and they got the shot, and then they're dying because of the shot. And then fucking, so gardening now is heart attack.
It's very dangerous.
They're saying it's dangerous from the soil. I'm like, and if you think of the shortages and all that, right? I think that the whole idea has been planted of the shortages, not because of what happened over the last 2 years, about what is going to happen with people.
Yeah.
That they know.
Oh, they know for sure.
They know. And that's, I think, the part that, everybody's too afraid to talk about that. Everybody's too afraid to talk about it. Nobody has the balls to talk about it. Nobody even that you think is all like fucking in the government or so, like against it or whatever. Like there's only a couple channels out there that will fucking say it. Most people are just too fucking scared. They're too like bowing down to so many, they don't want to offend anybody, or it's like not even about offending. It's like, this is about like fucking truth. Like you don't see planes fucking falling out of the sky and passengers saving the planes. You don't see fucking a pilot shortage right now.
Yeah.
You don't see people dying, celebrities, athletes, fucking so many people just dying out of nowhere right now for no reason.
It's trying.
It's never happened like this before.
Try to protect people in some way.
Exactly. And you have to talk about it. We need to be talking about this as a society. And that's what the masculine's here to do, is to be like, hey, hello. Like when the tribe starts getting fucking freaky, the masculine has to show up and be like, hey, right? Because if especially the cannibalism thing that just fucking went down.
Yeah, that's some weird
right?
shit.
So it's like, okay, now the left is all about eating people. Like, you know what I mean? Because they don't, and if you're eating, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you're bad for the environment.
A zombie apocalypse. That
right?
sounds pretty zombie-ish. Oh, you're just going to eat people?
But it's like, like if there's a cannibal in the tribe, it's the masculine that says, hey, we need to fucking stop this shit.
Yeah.
Who is that? And right? Like this is where's the men standing up and talking about this shit? Nowhere. Sitting at home. I'm a fucking insurance salesman, bitch. Fucking I fucking am got a new fucking 3 Series BMW, girl. Fucking come to the bar with my buddies.
It's not gonna
get fucking okay.
Far.
Like you're gonna do real well through this shit.
Those are the people that are gonna have no direction, and they might think they have life figured out now, but where we're going is just not that world anymore. It's gonna be a hard one for people, or we really do split. Oh, hey, or we really do split. And
we are here to take callers, believe it or not.
We did it.
We are here to take callers. So this one will go into your left ear. So if you have the nerve to step up and talk on spiritual daddy, we are here to, we'd love to hear from you all on what you feel that we've been talking about tonight. And we'll see if anybody has the courage to call.
Oh, somebody's calling for sure. 10 more seconds and that phone's gonna ring.
We'll see. Oh, did you put the right number in? I think that's the wrong number. Yeah, hold on. Oh no, that's the right number. It's the right number. I mean, there's 632 people in here. You'd think maybe somebody... Oh, we got a caller.
Call from
Bolton.
To accept, press 1. To send a...
Hi, caller. You're on Spiritual Daddy.
Oh, what's up, David?
What's going on? What's your name?
My name is Bolton, Valton.
Oh, I know this homie.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Right on.
He's cool. This is a good call in.
Hey, so what's going on?
Nothing much. I was just laying in bed and watching y'all. I love this show. And I heard that y'all were doing caller ID. My eyes woke the fuck up and I called it.
Well, what do you got to say? How do you feel about everything right now?
Everything going on or the show?
Everything going on.
Can you repeat that? The audio on the phone is kind of staticky.
Everything that's going on right now that we've been talking about.
I love it, and I think you guys are doing something unique and stepping into your own, like, daddy-like energy, and I think it definitely triggers a lot of people, but I feel like that shows a shadow that they need to continue to work on and face the music and not be afraid to, and it definitely made me want to pivot certain aspects of my life.
That's awesome. And what are some of those pivots?
Can you repeat that?
What are some of those pivots in your life?
One more time, because it sounds like you keep cutting in and out.
Oh, what are some of the pivots that you feel that you're doing?
Oh, I want to pivot into more of my masculine and I'm a hard of hearing, so sometimes I struggle to say and pronunciate some words, but both of the energies.
So you feel
I just
like
want
for
to step
you,
into alignment with my.
Oh, go on. You're good.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Oh, no, I just had interrupted you because I thought you were done speaking. You can continue talking.
Oh, my bad. I don't know if it's my end or just the microphone connected to the phone, but it did sound a little staticky. But
These are going to the computer.
No.
You still there?
yeah, I'm sure. I was just making sure the audio picked up.
Well, this is a first run.
But I can keep going. I'm watching you on. I was watching you on High Vibe, but I also had you pulled up on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate you calling in, and thanks for all the support. And I'm happy that you're making the pivots in your life, and that you're totally aware of what's going on, and we truly appreciate the support.
Are we muted? Well, appreciate you, dog.
There. We got another caller here.
Call from
Gracious.
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's going on? What's your name?
I'm sorry. I wanted to be on the. I wanted to be on the show.
You are. You're on Spiritual Daddy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
What's going on with you? Did you have anything that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess there's some sort of problem because the other caller had issues too, and I'm.
What's the problem that you're having?
It's staticky. I'm not hearing it clearly.
I wonder why that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
can hear you fine.
Weird, eh?
Yeah, not sure where. I mean, it should be coming through our microphones that we're talking to here, so it's interesting that you're not getting quality sound.
Let me go check something. You try to keep talking to him.
All right. What was your name? Hello? You still there? Hello?
This technology is a trip, eh?
Yeah, technology's a trip. Can you hear me at all?
you guys keep breaking up. I'm sorry.
Oh. Well, maybe we'll try and get that figured out, and maybe you can get back in. All right. Well, David's gonna tweak that a little bit, and take the next caller.
Call from.
Hello.
Hey,
welcome to Spiritual Daddy.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press.
Hello. Thank you for calling Spiritual Daddy. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello? Who? Can you hear me? Nobody can hear us. So,
Hello.
hello. Oh, jeez. Is this Lindsay?
Call from. Okay. I sent the caller to voicemail. Goodbye.
Well, eventually we're going to get this figured out.
From.
Lindsay.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you able to hear us? Can you hear me? Hello. I'm not getting anything back.
Lindsay. Hello. Are you there?
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, hi.
You
Yeah,
can hear me now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Outstanding.
Yay.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing very well. What's your name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay, awesome. And do you have anything you'd like to say about this show or anything about the topics we've discussed?
I mean, I love the show and I love the topics. I thought that was interesting about with the whole vaccine thing and people suddenly kind of falling over and whatnot, and it being called something different than it is. And then the other thing is, I'm a Capricorn girl. Christmas Eve, I feel like everything is always in Capricorn.
Well, especially over the last decade.
It's been a big deal.
It just feels that way, yeah, and I know it is.
How does
So I
it
just
make you
wanted to
feel, though, as
maybe
a
get some thoughts on
Capricorn
that.
right now in your life?
I feel like things have been kind of heavy. I've had a lot of life changes in good, positive ways, and making moves to different life changes and whatnot. When it's come to like life partnerships and things, I've decided to take like a break with dating and whatnot and just focus on myself and see how that works out. But not wanting
Just like kind of
And I'm
more
not sure if
focused on
that's
your
just-
own path, and how do you feel about the world? Do you feel like it's kind of a hard road to navigate right now, or do you feel as a Capricorn doing it alone is easier right now?
I think so. Making things different and new and whatnot, and then I think later on, then moving forward. But I've always been one state and do things all the time and be more social, and then I feel like more recently I just don't want the added drama.
Right.
Is it more about the people that you were aligned with, that there isn't an alignment, so it doesn't feel as natural or fun or exciting in whatever your sense would be, and that it's more like finding a tribe that's on the same pages you.
I see that. Yeah, I see that completely correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm a Capricorn too. I went through something very similar.
Yeah, I think it's and you are breaking up a little bit, but I do think it's it just feels like a huge shift, if you will, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have planets at the,
and that's more important.
Capricorn?
Yeah. I am, so I'm Christmas Eve. Yes, Christmas Eve, 12 a.m., 82 in Newport Beach, I think.
Oh, nice.
So,
Sun in the 4th?
I believe so. And I have, I think my moon's in Cancer. What I've read about my sign and all the signs and all the things are, it's almost like a cosmic joke, if you will.
Isn't it always?
Well, we appreciate you calling, and I'm glad that you're making it through as a Capricorn right now, and that you're following your guidance right now, and especially for you born at midnight, the sun at the bottom of your chart. That's what you got to do. You got to follow what emotionally feels right. But I feel that with your full moon in Cancer and the top of your chart, you have a big calling that
for sure
you still have to follow your emotions towards. So
thank you, and I appreciate y'all's time and listening to you. So thank you so very much.
Of course, and especially Miss 1982 with Saturn and Pluto and Libra. You definitely came here with the mission to find the right partnership. It hasn't been the most easy, but it's going to be a huge reward here for you.
Let's hope so, yeah.
Oh, for sure it will be. Do you have Saturn in the 1st?
Well, thank you. But yeah, I don't want to take up all y'all time, but I really appreciate you and thank you so much for what you do to help everyone. So have a great night, and thank you so much again.
You.
Bye. It's been great having some calls. We'll take a couple more now that we got it working. It's interesting to see how many people are definitely awake and really focused on their road right now, and taking action on that road and trusting themselves.
Yeah, even
Awesome.
disconnecting from.
Hey guys, it's Iggy. What's up?
You're on Spiritual Daddy.
Hey, my bro, it's Iggy. How are you guys?
Oh, what's up, Mr. Aquarius Iggy? How are you, brother?
Oh, Iggy.
Hey guys, what's up, dude? I'm doing great. I just saw that you guys have the show right now. So as far as topics from the show, I don't know, but I totally support you guys. Love the show. It's exactly what's been missing. Love it.
Well, I appreciate that. How are you feeling about the subjects we've been talking about tonight?
Well, I tuned in late, so I don't know, but as far as the previous episodes, spot on. I love it. Honestly, I'm using it as a check-in for myself, because I do strive to be a divine masculine. And, whenever you guys talk about stuff you've done in the past or anything like that, it's a good check-in for me. And I kind of use that as a way to improve or maybe let go of some stuff, or that's kind of the way I'm handling it.
Well, that's awesome, and I'm glad that we can all, I think, be confirmations for each other, because it's the same way back. That's why we got the call-in part to the show, and I mean, we're lucky because we met you at Don't Trip, and you've been a very awesome friend for both of us in our lives, and you were there for us even as a true divine masculine who showed up and helped us set up, and it just says a lot about the amazing human being that you are.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. It's good. In my life, I don't have that many guy friends, but to have you and Ryan on the show and talk about everything, anything, it's honestly, it hits home for me. So I'm always surrounded by women, great women. Can never say enough good things about the women in my life, but as far as guys, it's definitely missing in my life. So it's a work in progress, but great topics as always.
It's hard to find men
right?
that are in alignment and can still be masculine and strong, but also represent too their intuition, their, creative side. So I feel you, and I'm so glad we got to connect.
It's breaking up a little. Seems like the issue is still there.
It's always my mic.
Yeah, so we got to figure out why it's Brian's. But
Yeah, all right, Brian.
but appreciate you, brother, and thanks for all the support, dude.
Yeah, always. This aqua, always sports. Zero aqua. Let's go.
Boom.
Boom, it's coming.
All right, love you guys.
Love you.
Take care.
Thanks. Hello?
Call from
Tina.
Hi, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
Hi guys. This is Tina, fellow
Hi, Tina.
Leo here. Hi. Just a pretty basic question. I'm curious, what do you recommend for prepping? Like your three main things that you recommend people get for what's coming up?
Well, I would say the main things to prep for is finding the right people first, right? And then I would say after that, I would actually say before that would be just doing your spiritual work on yourself and, facing the stuff that is blocking you from amazing doorways of your destiny, right? There's a calling for us all right now, and we have to listen to it and face the blocks and face the restrictions that some of them we have to accept, and some of them we have to realize that we're accepting that are holding us back.
Right. Okay. So focus on the spiritual work instead of the actual material goods. Like getting all kinds
if you're
of
around the
ammo.
right people, it'll all work out, that stuff.
Okay. So there's no need to be in fear as far as good go.
I think having a week's worth of stuff, batteries, flashlight, some water, so you have enough just to get to your tribe that you find is a lot better than freaking out the whole time. I think, not building friendships or relationships right now, or, really also kind of avoiding the calling that you have in your life to, your purpose or your mission right now, or direction that you're being called to. That's the most important thing, because destiny always aligns and divine timing aligns. And that's where I think that the power is right now the most. But having the 3D stuff, it's the simple stuff like flashlights and, stuff like that, like stuff that you would make your life easy in case things got weird, to get to the people that you are connecting with.
I agree with all that. And, not to have a lot of fear around whatever it is, because it's not going to play out like you think it's going to play out. So you're fearful over something probably that might not happen, but to be prepared for whatever does happen spiritually within yourself, you'll be good and you'll find the tribe, like David said.
Do you recommend one like spiritual practice over something else that can really help you get to where you need to be spiritually?
I would say tuning into your calling, which I think the best spiritual practice for that is, of course, whether it's astrology or whether it's meditation or whether it's, following the synchronicities and not being afraid to take the leap into what feels good and out of a place that feels like an inner kind of prison. Like this is the spiritual work right now of like breaking the chains of our own fears of a greater life and a greater purpose.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
Thanks.
calling.
That was a really interesting question.
Yeah, the first thing I wanted to say was astrology.
Yeah, I
That's
was
just
like-
my spiritual practice, right? But I think too, it's taking accountability for yourself.
Right.
In, out, like all of it. Just we have to go into the dark places and be responsible and accountable for them, and then do something about it. You know, that's the shadow work, right?
Sharon?
Hi, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we've got you.
Hi.
Hi, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
I would turn
Hi.
off your volume of the show.
Hi. Hi. I'm from Massachusetts.
Can you turn off the show in the background?
Okay. All right. Turn it up. Can you hear now?
No, turn off the show, like the Spiritual Daddy show,
sorry.
the audio. It's
Okay,
re-looping
sorry,
through.
Sorry. All right, now can you hear?
Yeah, we've got you the whole time. What do you have to say?
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm Capricorn also. I think you guys are awesome. I live in Massachusetts, so I'm like battling a bunch of battles because nobody is awake around here. But anyway, you try anyway. I'm a hairdresser, so I just try to, help people wake up a little bit to what's going on. But people just don't. Like, 80% of the people that sit in my chair have had the vaccine, so it's like nobody is even seeing anything. So it's so hard going through day to day, just trying to, it's like everybody's just, it's not good.
Yeah, but how do you deal with it?
So I just try to do best I can, but you guys are awesome, and thank you for all you do.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's nice to know that you have a positive, spunky attitude, and that you know how to see through it all, and you're a tough Capricorn. You know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you do hair and that you're
everything you guys are saying is right on.
You have the chance to be a person that could change someone's opinion by having that conversation of,
a little bit, not much.
to know somebody and somebody sitting there with you for a while. So I think that's very cool, and
that's going to be
do
what?
a lot of work from I don't know if you can hear me or not.
No, I can kind of understand. If you could repeat that last sentence.
Just that you have the ability to reach a lot of people who sit with you.
Okay,
so cool. Even if they're not on the same page, at least that you can be someone that can bring up some bit of truth that could maybe open their eyes, whether they take it or not. You could send someone down a rabbit hole. If you will.
I know. It's tough, and I'm the only one in my family that's if that's even a battle too. But anyway, I try.
That's not easy.
But what are you going to do? I think at this point, if you're not awake, you're not awake, and you can't keep trying. They'll get there when they get there. That's all. And you just have to move forward.
Yep, you have to just be on your Capricorn ship and keep steering in the right direction, and get to the right place, and we'll all meet at that place.
Yep, that's it. Just work on yourself and just move forward.
Well,
thank you very much.
And thanks so much for calling in, and thanks for
okay. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Aminga.
Hi, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
What you have to talk about with us?
Am I talking with Dave?
Yeah, this is David and Brian.
This is David and Brian. Hi, guys. This is Aminga, and I want to talk to you about what Dave was talking about earlier about the women being pregnant and the men being the ones to go out and forage for the food and all of that and make the woman comfortable. Is that a real reality? Because that's not what I'm seeing.
Well, I think it's a reality. I just think that there happens to be some weird, I think it's alien personally, or AI as the new alien. There is some sort of weird outside force that's trying to demasculize men and also, kind of take the masculine down. Looks like we lost her.
Yeah, good answer.
Call from
Samantha.
Hi, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Hi. Do you want me to talk about what I think about your show?
Please.
Yeah, please.
I can't hear you, but I know you can hear me.
Yeah, no, we can hear you.
Yeah, like my throat chakra got totally attacked before, like when your show first started. I think it's crazy that you're having callers call in. It's, I guess, women that are going to call in just because men give women the throat chakra to speak. So that's kind of crazy. But I can't hear you guys, so you guys can't really give me a throat chakra to speak. It's like something messing with the energy. So
No, we can hear you.
I know, I can't hear you at all. But
You can't hear me at all?
not really.
Well, we appreciate you calling, and I'm sorry that you're not able to hear us, but thanks for...
It's okay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
I love all the different kind of people that are calling in here.
Call from
No, I wish the connection was.
Well, the connection's good for some people. It's
Yeah.
just, hey, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
call from Hey Gorgeous You. To accept.
Hi, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
Hi, this is Sarah. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Question is,
Uh-huh.
feminine. Excellent. Do you feel that is something that's going on historically as we look at this construct of our world accelerating into change? And so like the 1800s where everything was about masculine energy and the witch trials and etc. Do you feel that that's why we're having this resistance in the masculine energy to their awakened state, and that this shift that's going on within our society that has to do with the change? It's almost like the masculine energy is going through birthing pains as well as the feminine has been going through birth pains, and they've been alchemizing and doing the masculine energy is being caught into this system of generational that's the best way to say what I want to say.
I think you're dead on. I feel that the masculine has a harder time of receiving. So it's a time where we're receiving a new galactic alignment. Since 2012, we're receiving a wider understanding of spirituality, and that's a much more feminine energy. And then the trauma that men have gone through wars, to having to try to prove themselves or feel like that I think the masculine's issue over the last, 4,000 plus years has been feeling like they were the controllers of this whole universe, which was the problem, and not finding an equal share with the feminine. So the masculine's having to learn to find the counterpart as an equal, at the same time learn things like receptivity that the feminine energy knows how to do so well, and also learn to not push, our own crap onto women.
And now we're here. Is it thick and full? Is when
Okay. So, are you
activity that the feminine energy knows how
Can
to
you
do
turn the
so
show
well.
off in the background?
Also learn to not push.
I'm listening. Well, okay. So, is it like, are they alchemizing are the masculine at some point going to alchemize this energy, or is
It's both sides. It takes both.
going to move to areas of?
Yeah, I just think it takes both. I think if you look at history, the Romans didn't include the women. If you look at Egypt, they tried to tell people they included the women, but they really didn't. And Cleopatra was the end of the Egyptian, dynasties, and she didn't really have the power or understanding of how to deal with it because of the men from Rome that just wanted the land and just wanted the special magic and just wanted her as the icon to have, opposed to the gifts that she brought.
Well, one thing I want to say, one more thing, and then I'll let you guys go, is a trigger it's not a trigger, but it's something that you said about Egypt. I had a vision a few years ago. I saw the pyramids, and I actually saw, like, the tribe. I could see the tribe in the back. Well, actually, I saw the pyramids, and then I saw the tribe. And most of the tribe was actually men. But they looked at very extremely tired. It seemed like what I felt in their energy, it was like they were weary. It looked like they had been in battle. They looked fatigued. And I never really understood that. And I've always wanted to know, like, why did I see in that vision that it was mostly the masculine energy?
I mean, I think if you look at the history, especially of Egypt, there was an obsession, how there has been through other civilizations, this obsession that the masculine has to be the leader. And so when you get into all history, whether it is Rome, whether it is Egypt, whether it is China, whether it is the Mongolian Empire, which was the last Saturn, Pluto, Capricorn that was with Jupiter in the 1280s. There was Genghis Khan, this warrior that was the idea of the only way to lead. And I think that's been the issue, because that's just like shooting sperm everywhere with nothing to catch it.
Okay, well, thank you so very much. And you guys keep this going, because it's been very helpful. I've been looking for something like this because I feel that there's something missing with the gap between the feminine and the masculine energy. And I've always wanted, I was hoping you did something, and you did. So thank you so very much. I do appreciate it. And you guys have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
We'll
Okay,
take
bye-bye.
one more call in here.
Call from
One.
H. Schmigel.
Hi, you're on Spiritual Daddy.
Hello. Hi, Leo King. Hi, Brian. This is H. Schmigel.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Nice to have you
By the
on.
way, your show is so cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear your voice. I see you in the High Vibe chat all the time.
Hold on. Can you repeat that, please?
It's nice to hear your voice. I see you in the High Vibe chat all the time.
I know what a stalker, right?
Do you have anything to say after what we've been talking about tonight?
I guess I would have to talk a little bit about twin flames.
Please.
Yes, twin flames, right? We spoke about twin flames on the show. So I think twin flames could come in different versions. It could be the opposite of who you are. It could also be a person who you were in the past, who now you're dating. And it could also be a person who could be somebody good in your life. You know, like it could be an actual partner for you. So twin flames, I'm saying when you come across them, whether it's a husband-boyfriend relationship or a friendship, I would say it does exist, but in many different versions.
I like that.
Hello?
Behind that.
Yeah, no, we got you. I was saying that. I think we both were just saying that. Yeah, I could definitely sit with that.
I think that's a great opinion. Or belief.
I can't hear you. Hold on, because I can't hear. Okay, say again.
I think that's a great opinion on twin flames. I like that side. I haven't heard it before.
Wait, opinions, what do you mean, like a twin flame friend?
No, just your opinion. I appreciated your opinion. I think.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and honestly, sometimes I feel like when you meet your twin flame, right, and they kind of remind you of who you were in the past, but now you're dating like yourself. When you were maybe an asshole to somebody, that's happened to me before, and I was like, fuck, this is my twin flame karma. So watch out for your twin flame karmas, because they're out there.
Yeah, I like that. What if
that would be my advice?
The lovey-dovey romance, but actually the heavy karma.
Of you, what you've done in your past. Yeah, that comes in that form also.
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like when the mission is truly activated is when the divine alignment comes in, and we sometimes get stuck on thinking that we've made it to where we feel like we are, when there's still more maybe that we have to learn or have to grow, or even have more relationships that we have to go through to understand the right kind of divine partnership until we really are in full alignment.
With the right person. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think
sometimes you got to do a little bit
to take on relationships, instead of just be fully scared of them.
Yep.
Yeah, but I also think sometimes you gotta do a little bit of magic to kind of bring those things in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying to worship the devil, of course not. But I do believe certain cleansings, burning certain herbs, using certain flowers, especially with everything going on with health, in health wise. I really do believe we need to get in touch with our inner healer and learn how to keep ourselves safe, and not to forget that, yeah, of course you got to go to the doctor, but don't forget you can also kind of heal yourself if you really believe in yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you bringing this perspective in is, you know, as men, you know, this is not the stuff that we think about, right? We need the feminine to come in as an equal part. And that's why, you know, I think maybe at the beginning of this show, the first couple episodes maybe were harder for women to watch, but we wanted to make it an open forum and to allow people to know that we're also masculine, that want to hear what the feminine have to say about what we're saying. Because I think you bring up extremely good points about making sure that we are in good energy and that there's a lot of great magical gifts in order for us to integrate into our life to access the magic, which is extremely important, which I think the masculine, we don't do the best at that.
Hello? I can't hear you.
Oh, well, I was just confirming a lot of what you said and how appreciative I was of you telling us as a feminine.
Yeah, and you know what? Both of you as men, thank you for being good men and, you know, kind of giving hope to us women that there are good, respectful men out there. I know that there are, but it's nice to see them, and I appreciate your gentlemanness, you know? So take care and God bless you guys, and I love your show. Yay, okay.
God bless you too.
God bless you, and thanks for your insight.
Thank you.
It really helped show people the integration of the masculine and the feminine in a beautiful way, because you brought a reminder to me, you know, of things that I probably wouldn't ever talk about on this show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your show. Keep up the good work. Yeah. Thank you guys. And I hope you guys do this again.
Oh yeah. Every week.
This is fun. I enjoyed this.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And
you take care.
Get home safe. Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
That was a great final call.
It was the right way to end, I think, our call section and close up the show here. Wow. I think especially, you know, everybody that called in had a lot of, you know, very powerful insight into their own lives and their own guidance. It's almost like such a relief to hear that there's so many people out there that really are, you know, following their own way and really know the tools and are all feeling, I think, the same way that you and I feel of really, I don't think all of it's all fully understood and defined. We have to have these talks.
Yeah. And I think that there are way more people that watch this show that are on the same page. I think a lot of us are on the same team. Even if we have a difference of opinion here or there.
Right.
Like, I think we all can still come back to like, yeah, we're still on the same team, even though there's a difference here, you know?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, we told people we were going to bring this call section because like it's going to be important, I think, as the conversations continue, to allow people to bring in some insight or even correct us maybe if they don't agree, like, or like, you know, and I think it was like super important. We stressed, I think tonight, like the timing of like, there is no more time. Like we have to make changes now. We have to go for the things we want in our lives now. And I think, you know, tonight somebody brought it up on the Instagram live pre-show and it was just like, I just went, fuck it. We're just doing it. We're going to just figure it out and just make it happen. And I think that we have to all do that in our lives now. And I think you brought up the best point tonight of the structures that are going to eventually fully fall here. It's like, are you really putting those kind of structures and the kind of false world that's crumbling before this much more higher ascending new world that's really a big choice on whether or not it's the false new world that I really feel is being projected, or the true new world where, you know, like especially with this North Node Uranus, like, gosh, if the instant connection comes in life, are you really going to push it off another week and another month and another whatever, because you are putting stuff that really doesn't matter in front of it?
Exactly.
Like,
it's literally stuff that's just not even real, but you think it is. That
you'll get, to 2023 and be like, shit.
Which is,
man, I put that fucking stupid job,
it's less than a
project
year.
that doesn't do anything really for me, that might not even be there anymore. Or
that's going to be hard for people.
Right? Yeah. I think that's going to be the hardest part, is realizing the part of, I think, Aquarius that's kind of the shocker is always what you aren't anticipating, which it's usually the thing that you're in the middle of doing, that in the future you look back and go, fuck, why was I wasting, trying to think that was part of my future? I was gambling that was the thing to do, and it broke apart. That's the shock and awe of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think
but it's that shock too, that if you didn't do it, that's the big epiphany too.
That's the hardest of Uranus epiphany.
Yeah, but that can also get you to the timeline you need to be on if you take it. So
yeah, but I just feel like there's been enough of that. I think there's been so much of like, shit, let me, I think that there's too much of a looping pattern in the spiritual community of, well, I guess I needed to learn another lesson.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to continue always that, but I think they don't have to be so major anymore. And especially when it comes,
it's really about committing
to
the timeline that you want to be on.
And there's no missing out. Like, I think that some people feel like, I hear from the astrologers or tarot, like, I got to do this. And if I don't, I'm going to miss out. It's like, sometimes you go for things and it's not aligned. It's about learning to know how to pivot, which the first caller brought up how he's willing to make pivots right now in his life. That Uranus is the pivot master. It's straight like, up. And you brought up a great example of, okay, I'm going on this trail and, oh shit, I got to dynamite this. Okay, I don't have dynamite. I got to pivot the other direction, right? And it's like, people are afraid of making pivots, especially in Taurus, right? It's like, well, no, I value this. And it's like Uranus is saying, up your value now. Like, up the value by going into a new place and learning to detach from. I thought about this in Vegas this weekend as I was watching and people watching, and I was thinking of how many people just don't get to the end of their life happy, right? Like it's like their one weekend a year, they go to Vegas or something, and then they spend the rest of their time usually at their house and don't really adventure, or don't take a risk, or don't, go for their dream, or don't go for things in life. And then they put this other stuff that blocks them in their life first. And it just is, I think for me as an astrologer, it's like, man, that's the only thing that I'm really, focused on of being an astrologer, is to help people go, gosh, you have so much access to a life that was predetermined for you. And I think it's so important to understand the collective astrology more than your individual, because if you don't understand what's happening in the spiritual weather, it doesn't matter if you feel like you've got your shit together in your car. If it doesn't have the right tires because of the weather, you're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people need to pay more attention to the collective energy, because so many people are so obsessed with their own zodiac, their own chart, their own rising, their own moon, their own sun sign, their own, right, like Saturn return they're going through. And those are important, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I think that we're finding out so much more through doing collective astrology and understanding where these portals are and where these bridge moments are, where it doesn't matter what your astrology or my astrology is. We all have a common thread of this is
happening to everybody.
Right. And that this is this is the portal to here. And it, whether you're bringing the baggage of a Saturn return with you in that moment, a Uranus opposition, a Uranus square, whatever it might be.
Whatever, yeah. Don't care where your progressive
It doesn't matter where your progressive moon. It doesn't matter where, what perfection year you're in, or where you're at in your zodiacal releasing in your part. A lot of fortune at the moment. Maybe you finally read, like I'm in right now. It doesn't matter. As much as understanding the bridges and understanding the divine moments that are collectively happening.
Yeah, because in the end, we all need each other. And if we can understand that we're all going through something similar in different ways, it can go a long way at helping us all get to a destination that will be fucking magical, in my opinion. Like I always feel like when I tap into the future, it's always really good. Despite seeing a bunch of crazy shit, that looks like it's going to manifest. So,
yeah, and I think, I just kind of want to show this as we end the show. Like, when I drew this in my class, Hypergate, I thought it was a funny drawing that was live because this is the age of Pisces moving into Aquarius that we're at, and this was the age of Pisces from Aries, right? And so we've been in, this 2,000 years in here. But when you get to these zones, this is the Hypergate moment, right? Like that we're crossing this bridge into a new timeline, into a new dimension, into a new full-blown reality, right? And I feel like, when we're in the middle of this, like we literally are right now, it's crazy. But, it's like when I remember drawing this to kind of teach people the train tracks and how, whether it's transits in the collective or transits in your own chart and how they all kind of come, and then there's these like kind of like peaker moments, but they all are coming up. And that's like the third eye, the understanding of having an observational view from the top of the alignments, the synchronicities, and the things that are really coming together in life. But I think people need to zoom out a little bit more and remember that we are going through this major transition moment, that it's not hippy dippy, or it's not, spiritual delusion to start talking about different dimensional timelines, or that we are literally moving into a completely new world. Like that's, and it's kind of sad in the astrology community out there that they don't really go into that. Like the astrology podcast doesn't, like the astrology conferences really don't. They're still stuck on, chart techniques that, have been gone over 1,000,000 times over. Mm-hmm. And they're not willing to, I think, really talk about the bridge of spirituality, astrology, tarot, human design right now. And especially when it comes to, I think, the understanding of masculine energy, right? It's like when the masculine, which is much more number oriented, I would say, and much more mathematical and much more geometric and much more, architect kind of related.
It's, I think, sharp.
Yeah.
Where like feminine
encompasses everything that's embodying all of this, So
it's all I like that, the geometry of everything.
Right. That I feel like, especially the masculine out there, this is how we kind of like look at like life, and how it's this crazy moment here of the transition. But it's one of those things that I think is important, that, the feminine has to show up in a way of that receptivity that we saw with the Annunciation, that it's up to the feminine of accepting whatever that masculine energy is that's coming together, and also the masculine energy that knows that it's showing up with a purpose to feminine energy. If you're a man out there and you're not showing up to a feminine with a divine purpose, a divine mission, or you're a divine feminine and you're gonna take on some fucktard dude who, like, just because you want to have like a fucking fling or a fun time without a mission or following your higher calling, it doesn't matter what side you're on this. It's a beautiful balance, and it's a beautiful honoring of each other. and seeing without speaking, right? Because there is that spiritual essence that I love that is captured in this picture from Da Vinci. And it's amazing that he drew those backgrounds so intricate, because it's like all of the information and all the detail that's in the background of what is going to happen in the horizon is there the moment that the exception of the enunciation between the divine feminine and masculine happens.
It's very telepathic.
It is.
And like that just energy.
So that's why I think when it comes to twin flames, it's not crazy. It's just about whether or not,
it depends on how it's used.
Yeah, I think it's depending on how it's used, and it has to be on both sides. It has to be something that's felt from both people.
That's what I agree to. Like, I just see it too often than not one side. More often than not. Also, I just want to say that Hypergate drawing was some of like the coolest doodle channeling you've ever done. That was like profound shit.
That was, and that was in the middle of Saturn Uranus square stuff, and it was in the middle of. I mean, I know
for someone who's just seeing it for the first time, it's not going to make a lot of sense. But like,
oh yeah, because like
you should get Hypergate and watch the way that came about. That was some of the like.
It was
profound.
It was really intense in that it broke down, and that even looks like an alien spaceship, and what's on the other side of this. But I'm unvaccinated, right? So like there was not a lot of places to go, and like I remember doing that, and my dad died while I was doing this drawing, like during that period. I went through a lot of intense stuff. It was like I felt like I already was entering into that Ascension portal of this new earth at that point. And also my ancestry line, as my dad passed, I became the eldest in the line. So it's like, it's not crazy to think as we go through this timeline, like there's going to be people in our lives that we're going to lose, maybe not by death, but we're all being activated, how we're going to be activated, because it's extreme, like, and it's kind of funny because like whether we think, like CERN or any of that stuff, like,
right.
Like this is what they don't get, is they don't understand that you don't need to smash particles together to understand this stuff, right? But that's the chaos that we're feeling right now. We're not in a place where we're more in the order that's in the middle of the timelines of the ages. We're in the chaos of them coming together and switching over. And especially, what's underneath this is the lines of the crossing over, that this is what I feel Lightworkers are really here to do. And I think Lightworker divine unions, both that have to show up for different energies for people, but also showing up together to be the hands that kind of pull people over. And we're all doing that together too, like pulling each other through, that I feel like there's going to be a lot more divine couples out there than there, I think we've seen the peak of divorce and the peak of breakups constantly. And based off the astrology of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius with Pluto, that comes to that 0 degree spot. That's the other crazy thing. If you really think about March 23rd, is that's activating the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that we are in for the next...
activating.
Fully activating. That to even have that happen.
Quick.
Yeah, because the last one in Taurus didn't have Pluto. It's not going to have
Pluto there for a long time.
Right, and it never had Pluto aspected.
This was a few years.
It never had Pluto aspected except in the trine, which ironically was with Saturn that we just had. But... that was cutting off the last Saturn, Pluto, and Libra in 82 and 83, while this Jupiter, Saturn, Taurus was, definitely one of the peak of, Silicon Valley and stocks and money and people trying to understand their true values. And Taurus is a stubborn sign, and it's a sign where it does take a long time to build something great and beautiful. And now... we're kind of in this chaos zone, but I feel like it's exciting, this chaos zone.
It is. And even the way that was drawn, it's like it has the big thick line there meeting with the circle that you drew.
Right.
Which just, again, like it was like that focus on that divine union, that masculine, that feminine energy that gets you across to the other side.
Well, and I think like I had cut the Hypergate and showed it this way with Guinevere and Lancelot, and the return that when Lancelot and Guinevere fall in love after Arthur tries to kill Guinevere because he feels that her twin sister has taken over, which that's in, what scene is in that one? Oh, it's here in my Alchemy one. Yeah, right here where Arthur goes crazy and actually thinks that his wife Guinevere is not his wife anymore. It's her twin sister. And Lancelot knows it's not, that the king's gone mad, and goes and saves the feminine, right? Then they ride off together and leave, fall in love, but then they come back because of the society that they feel that they're nothing without King Arthur and Camelot and Merlin and anything, right? They're too afraid to go into the woods and be in true happiness and love. And, you know, I had drawn masks, remember? Right. In 2021, I was like, these people are fucking masked, fucking crazy, lost in the society. Are you, as a divine masculine and feminine, gonna fall for the trap of the false world and the false society when you finally broke free and you finally break into this new earth and this new beautiful world? Or are you gonna be too pussy and you're gonna come back and cross that boundary line of the wrong cusp and go back into this world where these masked, shot up, crazy, psychotic people, and because Lancelot is the greatest knight because of that society, or Guinevere's the great queen because of that society that's false, the one that literally takes them away, right? And makes them have to come back and receive him who literally just tried to fucking kill the love of his life, and that was her husband that she trusted. Like, it's fucking, and people are that stupid right now. Like, they're that dumb.
Can't go back.
This is the stuff I teach in my schools. You know, and Hypergate was definitely the new future of astrology. And I feel, you know, I mean, even just some of these pictures of at these old times, to get to the divine, it's through the love and the passion and the heart, and that's the crown, is the true heart and the understanding of God, and the there it is, the grand trine, right? That pulls you up into the heavens, and the fire of burning passion and love and desire that brings you up in life. Like, this is, it's crazy to think that people right now are sitting in this, I'm locking up my heart with that darkness. I'm keeping my heart closed instead of opening the door and keeping it open. You know, like, the heart is always in a battle. It's not the mind, it's really the heart. And it's like, you know, you could get caught up in your emotional, you know, darkness and keep, you know, your heart stuck in the past of the pain you've gone through, or you can chip away and open up and hold the key of the light and the beautiful light that there is to come. I mean, it's a world where, you know, look at, this is like Fauci and the shots and the religions that have all let people down, that have persecuted people, that have, you know, killed women, that have, you know, called us people who are unvaccinated fucking horrible people. Like, these institutional things that we put our heart into that are false are all going to be falling apart here to raise us up to this higher position of our true heart and desires that's not fake, that we have to clean out the crap and let in, right? Let in the good energy to come up into this greater deity and this greater, higher, passionate place. There's so many dark, entities that people, and it's always the shadow, the emotional pull of being stuck into these emotional moments that you don't know how to see the openness and the light and the love that we have to learn to take into our life. And it's like, it's sad because that there's like this tripped me out. This is from the 1600s, and there's this foreign entity. To me, this is Oumuamua, like the asteroid or anything, right? That's coming in and plaguing our hearts. And then this is the shot, and it's not so much the shot, but who brought the idea behind it? What's the foreign entity that's come down? What's the darkness doing in the person hanging from the tree? Because you're following some foreign energy that's coming into your heart and creating the downfall of our lives and the downfall of society. People, this is the stuff I was teaching people to not go through purgatory. That's why I called it purgatory, and fall for the biggest lie that would ever be told, that I've warned for years. And people wonder why their true heart and happiness isn't there, or that the partnerships they're with are off. It's because if you're with somebody who fell for this, it's hard to remove that out. You know, it's not that easy when it's that intense. If you're one with the divine union and divine union with the divine, you're going to be fine. I feel like, you know, there's this kind of crazy world that, you know, we're all waking up to, or even in the Masons, right? Like their version of understanding and getting through the checkered board of life. But it's the two worlds that you must understand. And it's the two worlds of this physical plane and the divine plane. And without that understanding, you don't get there. You can't unlock the key if you don't understand the geometry. And if you don't understand how to get even into the temple to God, right? Then you literally, with the sun and the moon, right? Like again, the people I know think Masons are all bad, but the original Masons and the original teachings were good. And they were to get to, this was the first death card in the Renaissance. And I think that people are not seeing what's happening right now with the plague. And, you know, it always came from the things we did to try to combat the plagues that killed everybody, not the plagues themselves. And that's the fountain of youth, of the water, or Ace of Cups energy that's in the horizon line, where you must learn how to keep your emotions clean and not be in a fearful emotional place as death rides through and just destroys all those that fall for the fear. And if you don't have the guts to literally fucking see that and laugh and be one with the divine and the angels and the fountains of truth and true emotional bliss, people that fucking have fallen for this spell and are continuing to be in denial don't realize what's coming for them. The more that they continue to stay, as death comes through with his fucking horse of the apocalypse to take people out that fell for and did not stay in the divine fountain of eternity. And that's where it's scary, because in Dante's Inferno, these lower levels that get us into hell, which is at Earth's center, you know, this is where it's the discord and the thieves and Hippocrates and and the seducers and the panderers of this bullshit world that fucking people are falling for, and they don't even realize that they just keep falling from these higher realms. Like, just to even get to purgatory is living on earth. That to get to heaven, you have to go to the higher realms. So to me, the whole idea of like twin flames and the ascension to the spherical energies, to the divine, is everything. Because this idea that, you know, you could just be on earth and, oh, I got the shot to travel. Like, you're an idiot. I'm sorry to say, I got the shot to keep my job. Like, I'm not going to call you an idiot. I get that your security's at risk, but did you think about the longer term and look at how many jobs opened up
Look at how many jobs shut down.
Right, exactly. That you got it, and then you couldn't even work again.
Didn't even matter.
It didn't even matter, and that the laws all got, the courts said no, it doesn't matter.
To fly, and then the pilot.
Right now,
dies,
the pilots are dying.
Your flight
now
got canceled. You know.
Right, and the EU is telling everybody that it's unsafe to fly because of the pilots that are passing out, that are having heart attacks. And that they even said in the council, which I did on High Vibe like 2 weeks ago, it's crazy. And Germany and all the countries, they all are deeply concerned. And again, Americans and a lot of even Europeans just don't want to see it. Like, no, that's just, is that real? It's like, yeah, it's real. And people have no idea what they're going through. And, you know, Dante's work was during Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto in fucking Capricorn in 1284. And that's where his North Node was. It was right where Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter met. And he channeled the realms that we would all face 800 years later. It's fucking mind-blowing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's so much of this art, almost all of it was almost channeled, I think, for all times, but I think especially this time, especially because we're here on this timeline now. Like, what a great gift it was to see this old alchemical procedure that we're all going through now, and how much of a guide it can be, and how it can help us all transcend this purgatory, to go to these higher realms and to these heavens that we can create for ourselves.
Well, because like, see, if you see this realm, purgatory is the lie that you're on an earth when really you're even there. There's hell. You're right. You're actually in between heaven and hell, but in the realm in which hell is still trapping you, and people have no idea. Like they literally are, you know, I mean, like, come on, like there's been so much that has been in our society that people have no idea the demonic energy that has been surrounding. This is what I drew in March of 2006. And this was on my wake up of what I was seeing as the entities on the other side, and the way that Madonna, the way that, you know, the Kardashians, the way that these false idols and their obsession with being these like leaders of the universe opposed to servants of the divine, right? I was channeling this shit March 2006. And it's crazy because it, you know, it really is. And here was what I showed earlier of the masculine and the feminine together, of also Da Vinci Jesus, and the way the masculine, of course, with the hands that I showed in the Annunciation, and then the feminine and the sphere that holds with the Leo constellation, and Leo, and that's his signature, or the cross that's through, which that's the part of fortune cross that's actually, that goes through Da Vinci there. But of course, then there's the secrets I showed in my drawings of the other cross that's within that too, and to ascend higher, but again, divine union, right? Like, that's how you get through. And I know that people think that might be a crazy talk, but it's not. It's a divine union to get through the war of this dark age, and it's a fucking the only way through. When King Henry VIII was about to pass, his son Charles I, he passed it on to. He reminds me of Trump and how he set things up, because that was the end of the Catholic Church, and this is the Pope that's dead. And my my 13th great grandfather, Sir Thomas Palmer, right here, was on his council. And this is the picture, if you look up in the background, of tearing down the Roman, because they never referred to them as Catholics. They referred to them as the Roman, you know, atrocity, like the schism away from Roman Christianity that literally was plaguing Europe and plaguing England. And that was the other Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn. And it was like guaranteeing, like, I am passing this power to my son. Don't ever fucking get it twisted, so he can hold it, even though he died young. But Charles at least did keep it moving, and it never did fully go back to the Catholic Church. And the Church of England was created, and it was the first schism away from these dark systems. And Henry VIII is a good example of how they take Trump and say he's horrible, right? So you always think about how he cut off the heads of Anne Boleyn, and how he cut off the head of Catherine, and how he was the one that would like kill his wives, right? But there was some crazy things, like Anne Boleyn and her father were trying to get involved, and she was cheating on him, and back then it was the betrayal of that. Or Catherine, his wife that he wanted the annulment with, she was the one who was she was still talking with the Catholic Church and still trying to bring the Catholic Church back in. I mean, you really start looking deep into the history and the astrology that's as of now. And, it's mind-blowing to see that the divine masculine is not afraid to put down the darkness. And the Pope and the Catholic Church was and still is the darkest entity on this planet. And people are too afraid to say that. The endeth worldeth of the for Lord ever. So the end over of the world of this Lord forever. Like, they're done with this, right? And I don't know what to tell people, but when it comes to divine masculine, it has the courage, even till the last day of its life, to point, to create also the child, whether it's a man or a woman, and to pass on the powers of the magic and away from the dark. And people are so afraid in life right now to even understand any of this stuff, like, are not even aware at all, and just, my parents told me to be Catholic, and or my parents told me to just do this, and It's like, have no idea the atrocities. And that's why I buy the books from the 1600s that go into this, because it's one of those things as a masculine. I was like, why did Henry leave the Catholic Church? Oh, there's fucking 200 pages from 1657 written and recording the history of all the atrocities that the Catholic Church was doing, and killing women and killing fucking and raping the women of Englishmen. It's horrible. And people have no idea, when Pope Francis right now is aligned with everything that's opposite of what even the good parts of Catholic Church is, like, totally with the shot, totally with going against fucking and trying to, and with this whole bullshit climate change thing, without acknowledging that it's from the sun. That it continues on, and that the divine masculine out there cannot be afraid to go on the quest to find the Holy Grail. Like, men back in the day put spiritual adventure and quests first. And if your man, ladies out there, cannot be on a spiritual quest and talk with the angels and go on the quest of a lifetime to save and protect the sacred energy of the feminine, while at the same time taking the masculine to find the Holy Grail of the holiness of this beautiful encompassing of the emotional energy that holds the God within us and the divinity, and that can find that in your spiritual journey. If your divine masculine does not want to join you and doesn't even have that in their fucking DNA, in their fucking soul DNA, in that mission, bye-bye. because that's the realest shit I could ever fucking say, ever. That a divine masculine is on a quest, and this is Lancelot's son, and Lancelot fucks up because he chooses to go back to society with Guinevere, and both of them fuck up, and Lancelot has a son who actually gets it done and can pass through by the angels. The only way that you can pass through is that the divine allows you to pass through to get to the Holy Grail, because you didn't follow the society and you didn't follow the lies. And it was his son that didn't, and it was good of heart not to follow the bullshit and the lies. And so we're at a time right now where this is inside the palaces of in England, and this is Lancelot failing and not allowed in by the angels because he fell for the spell of, he literally did get spelled, but he also fell for the spell of going back into this false society.
Lancelot got the shot.
He did. And it's not a joke. It's not a joke. This is from the work of Dante's, of course, Divine Comedy, that was redrawn, I think 300 years later. But when we talk about this ascension, and what is it? Divine union. Divine union to get you to this higher realm of the angelic spherical realms of the new divine timelines. There is no other way. There is no other way. And it's through love, and it's through finding your true counterpart. So I am somebody who thinks twin flames is an amazing subject, but it's not a subject. It is the way, but it is not taught. It is not shown. People are not showing this stuff to people. People are not giving the spiritual data and backup and history that has been going on for so long to understand where we can learn from the mistakes of the past and integrate this into the future now. I just don't. It's not a joke. It really is not. If I were to show, this was the one now without all my drawings, but in alchemy it is Mercury, and that's the beaker of alchemy, right? The understanding of, Mercury, right, which is the truth, which is the divine. Mercury is the only planet that actually is the messenger of the gods. And so both the masculine and the feminine receive a message, and they both show up with the downloads and alchemize together and blossom and grow the tree of life, the flowers and the creation out of this reality, and get their feet that's deeply within. The phoenix can only rise and pull out of this earth and rise above when the downloads are received by the masculine and the feminine, and they both come together and alchemize them together. And that's what this is not being taught anywhere. It's not being shown anywhere. Your tarot, person that's doing fucking twin flame shit is not teaching you the actual literal what so many have fought for, and what religion has tried to stampede and stop and created inquisitions about. And there's a lot of spiritual people that still can't let go of the fucking religious story. They can't let go of the story that's been trying to stop this message. They can't and that's, or you must convert to Judaism or I won't marry you, or you must convert and be a Christian or I won't marry you. Like, are you fucking crazy? That's not the message. The message is everything in you and everything in me together is all perfect and divine. That our missions and our message from God has been understood. You don't need to convert to anything because you have already embodied the truth of who you are from the divine. This is what is missing in the spiritual community of the understanding of how powerful astrology is, and how powerful the understanding of alchemy is, and how powerful this work and during the times of the same times we're in now of the 1500s and the Saturn Pluto of Capricorn then, or the 1280s and the Saturn and Pluto of Capricorn then, or the 2020 true people in this work like you, Brian, and others that are out there that understand this divine code and are not going to waver, and we're not going to listen to the woke mob. We're not going to listen to the people listening to the media. We're not going to be afraid when they come up with their lies and they try and pull your job. They try and tell you that you need to do this. They try and tell you what you need to eat. Because that is not what the message from God is. The true message. Sorry, I'm on a rant, but
it's important information.
And a divine masculine has to tame and to fucking know how to fucking take on the beasts of the world. If you are a lady looking for a man and you know if he could not be in that body armor and he would be too afraid to stick the fucking knife like Archangel Michael into the beast. And so if you are with somebody who you know can't do this and you're one of these people like, oh no, I don't know if it's, like these people in the background, like
that dude back there.
Right, exactly. Right. But like, you have to be willing to have a man who understands how to keep the beast away from his woman, and in this world first too, the divine mission and the divine code. There is no masculine without that embodiment, period. It is not a masculine.
Has to have courage in any way you slice it in life.
And it has to be a divine orchestration of casting away and protecting away from the beast and the darkness of this world, no matter where it pops up, family, friends, media, politics, anywhere. That you are on call 24/7. And that's the other problem with divine masculines today is a bunch of dudes, oh, I got to just check out. You do a video horoscope every day. You do fucking the spiritual work every day. I do that shit every day. I know some other guys out there that do, not a lot. And they don't put that divine mission first every day, and they're not on call 24/7. You are on call by God 24/7. If your divine masculine is not in an energy where he is ready at any moment, at beck and call from the universe to step up and defend against the beast and the darkness of this world, then he is not a divine masculine. Period. He is not a divine masculine. Like Brian and I are sitting here at fucking 12:30 at midnight and fucking rapping about this shit and taking your calls and showing you and teaching and talking and having these open talks with everybody and have 500 people in here. And because this is such an extreme moment right now of what we're all about to go through.
It's important stuff.
And yeah, I mean, and I it's like I've always thought that these two pictures depict the balance of when the masculine goes out to defend against the darkness and when the feminine is there to nurture. But it's the same as that the feminine is what gives the power to the masculine to feel confident enough in its divine mission, because the masculine is what kneels to the feminine in understanding of honor and code and protection and chivalry to protect the most beautiful thing in sacred energy on this planet, which is the life giver and creators are the feminine. The most important things to protect, the most important things to integrate into our world and to guide us with love, to guide us with the ways of how to use this earth, to guide us in the ways of how to take these timelines, because the feminine energy in the universe embodies, it holds the planets together, it holds the galaxies together, it holds the sun together. It's what binds everything together. So the masculine is here to understand that honor and that code of that feminine and do everything it can to protect it, but also to rise it up. And to honor that is to accept and watch the feminine strength and power anoint the night and the masculine within. And that's the feminine's job, to the masculine, and then the masculine's job is to go out and always defend and protect it, but then the feminine's job is to then be there to nurture that too. So it's a balance on both sides, and this is just not being taught anymore, and it's not being talked about in the community, and it's extremely sad that it's not, and it's not understood. And when you mix it in today's time, and you're in these crazy timelines, right? And there's these battles going on and fucking the craziness that's happening. There's Archangel Michael with the divine angels that are trying to pull the people who literally look like they have monkeypox, literally look like they have the shot, out of purgatory and into heaven, who did not follow and fell into the sins that, oh, I want to go on a vacation. I want to be able to travel, so I'm going to get the shot. Like all the things I warned people about, and did all that work last year in 2021 of shadow reality and purgatory. This is where you are going to be getting the help from God's commander, God's military commander, Archangel Michael. Like, and Archangel Michael is the understanding of a true masculine, spiritual divine. So we can get to these unions that we truly want, and the true marriage union of a mission, that a masculine who's not going to show up to the wedding riding on his spiritual understanding of mission and code, and a feminine who is not going to arrive with her fair ladies of understanding and support, and not saying, fuck you, you have better lips than me. Fuck you, you have better hair. Fuck you, I don't like your tits. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Like the feminine energy right now, and the way that it's judging each other on Instagram and it's doing all this shit. Y'all ladies need to be there for each other and support your best friends, and when they find their counterpart, so they'll be there to support you when you find your counterpart. This is such deep shit that I can't believe we're in a world that's not being talked about and shown, because there would be no way to get to the understanding without that divine Mercury, without that understanding to get to Yesava. And that we are in the eclipses of Taurus and Scorpio, which is in all alchemy in the heavens. We are in the transits of the heavens. And that's why on Friday, it's going to be heaven or hell that Alex and I are going to be talking about. And anyway, I think my rant's over.
Yeah, that was well said, bro. I have nothing to add to that. I think everything was said that needed to be said.
Yeah, I just feel like, this show kind of, I think for both you and I, we had to find the bearings of it at the beginning couple episodes, and I think that this show really found it, and I feel good about it, and I feel good that we were able to really, I think, take a very complex topic and have a very wide open discussion about it and bring insight. And I think the astrology part that we went through, and especially your just instant hypergate to Pluto in Aquarius with Mars at the end, that you just instantly just knew to look there. And when we looked there, to see this window of time, and knowing the Mars retrograde from Halloween, and even the shadow that's coming, that there's not a lot of time left. Mm-mm. It's really this Leo season with a little bit of Virgo, and that's it.
It's going to be here in a blink of an eye.
And that, and literally with that North Node Uranus you were talking about too, right? It's like it will come, and it's going to be unpredictable, and you better fucking jump on it. And it's got to be on both sides. You can't try and force things. And I think my number one pet peeve is, God, I can't even believe how many people think I'm their twin flame. I've never met them. They might see synchronicities or signs or whatever, but if I don't feel it, then you have to just let it go. Like, I don't know what to tell people. It's like, it's like I've literally dealt with like thousands.
I know. You have more twin flames than anybody else.
And I mean,
Maybe
it's
ever.
crazy because I don't know how many packages a week come, or how many letters, or how many random people show up and have this crazy feeling that I have to go and I have to do this and try everything they got, and I don't even know who they are, and then are very pushy and very...
Yeah. That's my beef with the twin flame thing too, is that's how I see it play out often. And I don't think it necessarily has to go that way. I think that we could be a little bit more responsible with that twin flame energy, because I think there were some good points made throughout this show that, like, you know, twin flames can definitely be a thing. Like, I don't think that it's not a real thing to have that. Divine union is real.
Yeah.
You know, but how we go about it and how we project it on people, there needs to be a little bit more responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
There, I think, within people and themselves and how they're going about it. Because you can't just bomb somebody with that if they don't know you. I mean, I get shooting your shot, but you know,
I don't know if I'd use that expression anymore. You know what I mean? Again. Yeah, and I think this show goes into a million different places, but it was very channeled to me on my birthday on my solar return as a 0 Leo, and that's 10 times the power that I saw in the Waib, and in also the day of without time in the dream spell calendar that we went through. I saw the future of this whole shot not. And I've been saying it for so long, it's about to shatter the reality of the fucking planet and the people, and they need to get on the right side now. Like, there's no more time with that either. And acting like I'm okay. No, you need to be at first accepting that you're not okay in order to fix a problem.
Yeah.
You know? So. And, you know, this is going to be extreme go time, and you can't stall at this moment, and you can't be freaked out. And especially, you know what? I think the hardest part is there's a lot of people freaked out because when 78% of people fell for a spell, I mean, fuck. Like, I can say, I feel like I put on my story. Did you see that story of that Australian writer who was vaxxed, who wrote about that it was the unvaccinated that we need to thank for all of this pandemic, because we're the test subjects that proved it was false. We're the ones who were, you know, didn't fall for the, I'm going to keep my job and
all of it,
right? Like that, all of us that held the line of truth, you know, like we literally fucking saved the whatever might be left of the planet, at least left, by not falling for it. And that we can live our lives so much stronger because we went through such fucking horrible by all society. She even says, the writer, that anybody who got the shot was part of barraging and had full knowledge of barraging their fellow brothers and sisters that didn't get it, that knew it was a lie and knew it was bad, and fed the system that did that. And they need to be at peace with the truth of that and apologize to the people that they fucking unfollowed, that they talk shit on. It's a deep article.
I love that. There was a chick who wrote that?
Yeah, it's on my story right now. It was just reshared again. And and the guy reads it. It's something like 2-minute reel, and it's so powerful.
Yeah,
but you know, like, I mean, I would be terrified right now if I had that shot. Like there's no, and I know people don't like me saying that, but you have to accept the fear and accept changing, and especially where we're about to get the results, which look like it's pretty much guaranteed. Even fact checkers from Reuters and AP, right, are saying like, shit, the data showing in vitro in liver cells that it does change the DNA of rats, and so now we've got to do it on humans. And if that happens, then we have just entered into a territory that we have no idea, when we have redefined, and they lied and they said it doesn't change your DNA. And if it's changing your DNA that you never can ever get back to, and you can't rechange it, that you would have to be hooked up always to another mRNA shot that's computerized and fucking reprogram you to survive.
Unbelievable. hard to
And
believe
people
we ended up in this
people are
place.
just in complete denial.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I would hope that people don't, become too fearful of it if they are waking up to it and did get it. Like, I would hope they would, accept it in some way and not hold some crazy guilt or fear in their life. I would wish that for people, just because what's that really going to do? Like, accept the truth, own it. You made the decision. It's fine. Now, how do you go about your life in a way that can make a difference and change things and, hopefully transmute whatever that is in your body, But hopefully I would pray that people don't go about it with too much fear. I would,
Well, I think you bring up the best point, is that when I was a meth addict, when I was a coke addict, when I was a fucking ecstasy, acid, shroom addict, when I was a fucking weed addict, when I was an alcoholic, the suffering I went through for the 3 years going sober, and the panic disorder and the anxiety disorder, I couldn't blame anybody but myself. And I had to accept that, and I had to go get the help and admit that I needed the help to get through my panic disorder. I just reached 7 years with my therapist, and I had my therapy today, and I thanked him so much, like I almost cried. I didn't, just because, it was a very positive moment, but you have to be willing to accept the truth. Like, I had to accept the truth that I was running away most of my teens and 20s, escaping. And when I started this job over a decade ago and started seeing the truth and got off all that shit and went sober, it was too much for my brain to handle. My brain didn't know how to deal with life because I was suppressing it all the time. And the changes that happened to my brain, the changes that happened to my nervous system, the changes that happened to my body, that I have taken 7 years of fucking constant therapy work, all of it. And I'm still, thank God to this day, I don't live in panic and I don't live in a anxiety disorder anymore, but I definitely have never stopped doing the work because it just doesn't go away in a day. There is not a pill that will just fix something right away. There's not one therapy session that'll change it all. It's a constant showing up. And that's why High Vibe and the daily horoscopes and the weekly horoscope for over a decade doing this is because you can't just say, well, I'm just checking in on the astrology once in a while. It's one of those things where you show up to it every fucking day. It's a mission.
Truth. Big time.
And I think masculine energy has to have that.
Yeah. It's... If you're going to, okay, you can have willpower and a direction and want to go do something, and can be action, but if you can't sustain action as masculine energy, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, it has to be sustained. It has to keep going to achieve the journey, to achieve the mission, the destiny, it always has to keep going. Reliability within oneself is huge. It'll change your life if you can always show up, at least for yourself and what you're committed to. It's a big deal. It'll fall apart.
Well, especially I think because you're a Capricorn.
Word I was looking for that maybe I can find that I couldn't. But go on about.
I was going to say, because we're at the end of Pluto Capricorn, because Capricorn is a sign that gets us away from depression. People think Capricorn's depression. Capricorn's depression when you're not doing anything. Cancer's depression when you're just sitting and you're not doing anything, right? And you're always caught up in your house, and you're always in your bed, and you're always in your stuff. That serotonin is Capricorn. It's because when in life we have a mission and we have a purpose, that we continue on that and we show up to it every day, that we advance in our life and it makes us feel happy. The suicide rate is up now 35%, okay, over the last decade, but also in this year. So the depression rate is so high now, and the suicide rate, because people are not going on their missions, and you're a Capricorn. And so you're somebody who always worked, always found some purpose. But when you found your divine purpose, your whole life fucking changed. And you never even questioned showing up to it every day.
Exactly.
And as a Capricorn, I think you have a way of embodying and showing people that very powerfully.
Yeah, consistency, like, right? Like that's kind of a Capricorn trait in some way, to like show up kind of, it's almost like relentless consistency. But if you're showing up consistently and relentlessly for something that you're not passionate for, or that doesn't feel like it's part of a destiny or a mission or has a big purpose, then you're wasting your time, and that will bring on depression. But trust me, I wake up stoked every day to do this work. Like, it's easy for me to wake up. Like, I'm excited for a new day to do whatever it is I'm going to do, because I know there's a purpose behind it. And I felt that purpose from day one of like waking up spiritually, and it evolved very quickly for me, and I'm very grateful for that. But
you went right into the mission. Like, it wasn't like, you know, oh, I'm waking up spiritually and I'm not going to do anything about it. It's like you went and found something to do with it instantly.
Right. Yeah, I felt like I had to. It's just doing it. That's the thing too, is we just got to do it. Like, sometimes you feel the urge and we have this, we lack the courage to do it. And if we can all find the courage to do that thing that we know will change our life, no matter what other people think, no matter what society will think, but you got that gut call, like literally the call from God to do it, you got to at least try. You got to at least go after it and pursue it. And maybe it doesn't show up right away, but that's where being consistent and showing up over time will pay off, especially if it's in alignment and it's really true to your character and true to your soul. Then you're going to see it. You're going to see the rewards for sure, and get the accolades.
Well, great show.
That was a great show.
Appreciate you all very much. On Friday, I am doing a special, which the link's not up yet because of today, but it will be up under this video tomorrow. And it will be available to be part of for $14.95 on Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Alex, Coyote Star Astrology, and I are doing From Hell to Heaven, the Uranus Mars North Node conjunction, and everything that is bringing on forward. It'll be a live stream here at High Vibe TV. You'll just go to highvibe.tv and click From Heaven to Hell, and we are going to go through everything. And we did a little talk about it on her Instagram live yesterday, and it's something that Alex and I have been talking about for 8 months to do this. So this isn't just and Brian can confirm, this isn't something that we just came up with in a day and we're doing it.
It's been talked about for 6-7 months now.
It's actually been 8,
like, right? It's just divinely, like, now is the time to make it happen, and there wasn't a lot of time to promote, but you're not going to want to miss out.
Yeah, like her and I have really taken the time to both process, talk to each other throughout the last 8 months about so many of the things that have been going on in the astrology and the eclipses. We're going to be covering all of the stuff that really needs to be addressed about this shift. And it really can be from hell to heaven that we're all going through, or it could be flipped, the false heaven and, staying in the hell that you don't want to. And for me, doing this is so powerful because of the fact that I did Purgatory last year, and that to do this with Alex and to do this about now hell to heaven is, I think, so synchronistic with Purgatory last year that I'm extremely excited to do this tomorrow on Friday, and for all of us to be together. You can be on our app and watch it and live stream. It's $14.95, or the website. There's a chat. It's an awesome experience how we do it here, and there's a lot of love and a lot of time and effort that's been put into this, and yeah, I'm extremely excited to do it with Alex, and she's somebody who definitely, like, her and I have done so much past life work in Egypt. It's scary.
It shows.
It's like really, like, yeah, her and I have a very interesting, like, astrology connection that of literally, like, her and I were fucking magistrates to fucking pharaohs, and we're running the show when the pharaoh was like 13 years old and doing all the magic, and you know, it's crazy, you know, like it's wild. My south node sits on her sun, so, and my Uranus, like, so we have like a very intense, like how you and I have so many intense connections too, right. You know, right? Like I feel like right now, if you just kind of think overall with the spiritual community and how astrology or human design, and I think both really can help us out, is aligning right now with people where you can see the crazy, amazing alignments with each other. And that there's, you know, people look too subjective, like, is that just friend or a lover or a business partner or whatever? It's like, no. It's about opening those doors and seeing what's really in there, and what work was done in past lives to understand for this mission in this moment what you're here to do. And so doing it with you has been just incredible, and doing it with Alex since, gosh, I don't even know how long her and I've been doing it, has been incredible. And it's crazy because, like, we all know each other, like, you know,
I know,
like separately.
I met her separate
right,
from
I know.
You, and yeah, it's super
right?
cool.
And just like, I really feel the tribal connections all really coming together for others out there. And I feel like that's also kind of part of North Node Uranus as well. So it's kind of an interesting moment, and I think it's a powerful one. And I think, you know, I'd love to see everybody be there on Friday for this. And if you're not there for Friday, you can of course get the recording. That would be very easy to have. So you get instant access to it through the app or through the website always. You just make a login if you're not a member of High Vibe, and you have access forever, and our app is free. So you don't even have to be a subscriber, you know, to buy the special events, and you have it in your library forever. So, yeah, and if you have bad service, you can download it and keep it on your phone and stuff like that. So anyway.
That's going to be great.
Yeah. Well,
I'm really looking forward to that too.
Well, yeah, I'm excited that you are, and I'm excited for even like where you and I went with this talk tonight, and where this show's going, that we get to do this every week.
Yeah, it's cool how it can go so many different places. Like, sure, we'll pick a topic, but you never know.
Yeah,
some pretty awesome places, and I like that a lot about this show.
Definitely.
I'm so happy to be doing this with you, man.
Same here.
It's great. So stoked.
Yeah, I feel like we found the rhythm for this show now.
Yeah.
And I think it's about coming back to the roots of who you and I are as astrologers, and taking a look as, you know, masculine, that spiritual in this world, which is a rare thing, and does it for a living in our mission, and coming from that place. And that's what I do with Dylan. But, you know, it's like, it's so beautiful, the different contrasts that we all have when we work with others. And I think that's the best part of the Uranian energy, right? That it's not about one person.
You realize how special everybody is, and how everybody has something unique and special to bring to the table in some way that we can't do it ourselves.
100%. Well, thanks for another Spiritual Daddy. Make sure that you're a member of High Vibe to catch all of our shows every week. Follow us everywhere. You can follow Brian at Fixed Air Moon. Of course, all my stuff's down below. I appreciate you all. Appreciate you, Brian. It was great. Everybody that called in, everybody that watched. And please share the show. Please get this out there if you feel like this message needs to be heard, especially for others, even in the spiritual community as well. And we'll see you on the next Spiritual Daddy.
Much love, everybody.
Bye-bye.